Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you very much to the RPG Valkyries for letting me stream this morning and show off this game for a good cause. I am Thilotilo, and this is Destiny of an Emperor. If you're familiar with the Dynasty Warriors or any of the other Three Kingdoms games, this is kind of the one that started it all. And so we'll get started with this pretty quickly. I am joined here on my virtual couch here by Cheeseinator, who is one of the OG Destiny of an Emperor experts with FAQs out there and whatnot. So, good morning, Cheeseinator. Thank you for joining me.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. And without any further ado, off we go. 3, 2, 1, time. So, starts off with these three characters, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zheng Fei, are meeting in this peach garden and declaring themselves brothers and whatnot. And now we find out that this precinct leader in this area is being given grief by this group of people called the Yellow Scarves. And so we are being told to go and help rescue him. We're going to take a very different approach to handling these Yellow Scarves. As one does when we very first start an RPG, our very first goal is going to be to die. And so we are going to come in here where we've got our strongest opponents. And this sets off a glitch. You see this Zheng Zhao here? You won't see him for long. Due to a weird little overflow glitch, once those two die, and I do this little cancel action here, it eliminates several generals from the game, including every one of the Zhang brothers here. So, Zhang Zhao, Zhang Bao, and Zhang Liang, all of the Yellow Scarves have now been eliminated from the game, which is going to make our early game much, much simpler. So now we actually do the starting part, now that we've removed the early challenge. Talk to this guy here. He gives us lots of gold. He gives us rations, which have absolutely no meaning in the speed run. But if you saw the screen flashing on my way to the first battle, that meant I had no food, which is a result of not having, which makes me take damage every step I take. So.
Yeah, this is not actually a very glitch-heavy run. There are only a couple that the speedrun takes advantage of, and the other ones we don't want to happen. There are also some crash glitches in Destiny of an Emperor.
Yeah, this is not what you want to see to start, but this is your good marathon luck. Early on, random battles are going to kind of be our bane. We have ways to mitigate that as the speed run progresses, but here we don't have ways to mitigate that. Those battles with generals, you have a 5 out of 8 chance of running from, so failing 3 times in a row is unfortunate. So we'll have to make an unscheduled trip to the inn here, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal. And we're going to go pick up a fourth character here. He's basically cannon fodder is what we use him for. Did equip mantra, yeah. Alright, so now we're finally going to go off to actually win a battle. Now this battle, what we're coming up to, is usually actually the second battle you fight, and it is supposed to be with Zhang Bao, Sheng Wanji, and a rebel force. But as we can see, the defenses have been much reduced here.
Whew, you made it through that one alive. Sometimes I get a little bit of sweat on my brow from that one.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. See, that one was pretty straightforward. We find one of the many, many hidden weapons we are going to be using throughout this game. Now we're going to head back to that battle that we just died on a minute ago. and instead we are going to clobber it. Hopefully. Which usually doesn't go particularly poorly. So one of the nice things about this game is the all-out feature here that you're seeing, which is, hey, I'm not really worried about what's happening here. I just want everybody to clean up. So my guys are randomly going to attack their guys. Their guys are going to do moves like they ordinarily would do, which means they can use tactics, which are kind of this game's equivalents of spells. But we don't. We just do melee attacks here. But it's just an easy way to clean up a battle that you're not really worried about. And that's about as good as that battle goes.
This is also probably a good time to point out the abstraction in this game that these are not just like 4 people with a health bar walking into this battle. These are generals, each who are representing hundreds of soldiers apiece in a sort of grand battle between armies.
Pay no attention to the fact that we're apparently using a single axe to gear these armies, but yeah. And that there is a implication of that, which is that in this game, the number of soldiers you have affects the amount of damage you do. It's actually the number of digits of soldiers you have serves as a multiplier. The square of that number is a multiplier of the game. So your multiplier is 1 if you have 1 to 9 soldiers, 4 if you have, up to 99, and then once you get triple digits, it's 9, quadruple digits, 16, etc., etc. So you'll find later on we're making use of that, trying to get people below, or get us above one of those digit thresholds and get our opponents below those digit thresholds. Which is a decent approximation of what it's like to be dealing with large armies. Here we were supposed to fight Zhang Liang. He wasn't there. Here we're supposed to fight Zhang Bao, Zhang Liang, Zhang Zhao, Zhang Bao, Zhang Liang, and then these two. And as you saw, we have removed everybody from the game. We actually removed Qing Wanji from the game, but a story trigger revived him. So he's back for this battle. This used to be a much more frustrating part of the run than it is now. Because those yellow scarves, playing this casually, this opening chapter is actually pretty rough, dealing with yellow scarves. Right, so we're going to gain a level here. When we gain a level, certain characters, we call it tigers, gain gain soldiers, and then we gain tactical points. Tactical points are basically this game's versions of magic points, but they're shared across the entire party. And every level in which you learn a tactic, you gain between 3 and 5 tactical points. We're always aiming for the 5. You've got a higher odd of 5 than 3, but half the time you're going to get 4. And so we want to get as high a number as possible because we only learn so many tactics, and so we'll end up capping out. And where we cap out at is a pretty significant is going to be pretty significant later on. So we just lost Liu Bei here. The precinct leader said, "Thank you for doing everything. I can't rule anymore. Will you take over for me?" And he says, "Sure." So now Liu Bei has left our party, become leader of the precinct, and is sending us on our way to deal with another problem in Dongjua.
Do I have time to pop in with a quick donation?
Absolutely.
Perfect. We got $20 from Moonblaze Wolf, who just ran the absolutely delightful Bug Fables previously. And his donation says, "I'm really happy everyone enjoyed Bug Fables, donating $10 for unintended random encounter towards Kinda Nerdy Housewives Squidlip bonus run, because the world needs more dancing squids. Let's make sure all these wonderful goals are met." And just to quickly note, that incentive is for a bonus squid percent run with dancing squids in the Squidlip run, which is coming 2 runs from this one. So right now we're only at $20 out of 275. So if you want to see dancing squids, and I know I do, we best get on that.
All right, we're going to take a quick safety save here. This early part of the game is very reset heavy in the speedrun because you have to take some pretty high risks to get off the ground with a good time. but we are going to take some more safety strats so that ordinarily in this game, death is not particularly problematic. When one of your characters die, the only way to get them back is by using an item called a Resurrect, which brings them back with 400 soldiers, or max soldiers if it's under 400, which isn't a big problem, except for at the beginning of the game, because they are not cheap with the funds you have to start the game. So we, in the early game, we need to save before a couple of these battles in case things go awry, because we don't have the funds to resurrect our characters. Otherwise, there's no loss of progress when you die. You just go back to wherever Lube is and have to make your way back to the battle. To answer the question about, first let's say, so we come here and we've got Hua Xiang here who is guarding this fortress. Again, ordinarily, Hua Xiang is joined by Li Su, but fortunately for us, very fortunately for us, Li Su was another one of the generals that had been exterminated by the glitch. And so we only have to fight Hua Xiang, which makes this battle pretty safe. You'll often lose one person, like so, but that's okay. We bought 4 resurrects before this battle came up. We're going to go ahead and go to the end here, just in case we needed one for this for the upcoming ones. So we're prepared for that.
Got a question in chat. Are brigands harder than rebels? I'll expand on that. There are 4 different kinds of generic enemy forces that you can encounter. When you face a set battle or a story battle, like we just saw there with the Huaxiang fight, you will fight rebel forces. And in fact, those are paired with all of them throughout the game. When you have an encounter in the wild or sort of a random encounter, it can be rebel forces in any zone, but then there's specific terrains that tell you whether you can face other kinds of forces, such as brigands near mountains, pirates near water, and bandits. I believe also anywhere rebel forces can be encountered, but they drop off in the later game, and it will eventually just be rebel forces.
Yeah, we'll actually take the run rates of the different forces becomes very relevant to us. With the rebel forces, your run rate is 1 out of 8. With bandit forces and brigand forces, your run rate is 7 out of 8. I'm saying this wrong again. Against rebel forces, your run rate is 3 out of 4. Against bandit forces and brigand forces, it's 27 out of 32. And then against and against the pirate forces, it's actually 30 out of 32, or 15 out of 16. So, because of that, I use one of my resurrects to bring me G back here. Because of that, we are going to make the fact that rebel forces are less are harder to run from than the brigand forces and the pirate forces. We are going to follow some terrain so that when we get random forces, they will be ones that are easier to run from. Which means we're going to hug mountains, kind of like we're doing here. Of course, they get the battle in the middle of it, so that doesn't help. One thing we just saw there is I went through this cave and picked up this gold key. And then I used a gull wing to get out and come back here. It makes a whole lot easier to deal with. A whole lot easier dealing with random encounters going this way rather than walking back out of the cave. But we went there to get the gold key, which we will have use for shortly. And but when you get that, it actually brings a person to the beginning of the cave, who is quite useful, as he is as he has the most soldiers of anybody we've had so far.
Do you know if the shared family name here indicates any kind of close tie to Guan Yu with Guanping, or is that just more? I want to say I looked this up,
and there is a connection. Like he's like a cousin or a nephew or something like that. Like I think actually even like adopted one, but I could be totally wrong on that. There may be somebody in chat who knows the history around this period better than I do. but I do believe there is some sort of, at least adopted familial relationship.
Oof. While we're going through this overtaken fight here, so as said earlier, this game is based on Romance of the Three Kingdoms lore, but it's a few steps removed because it's also been sort of reduced to fit down into a video game, and then it's been translated from Japanese to English. So there's a lot that gets lost in translation, and there are certainly things that deviate from history here.
So this battle here is the one that is the highest source of resets, because we just all out here and hope for the best. Here we're not going to do that. Here we're going to spend our time focusing everything to get Lu Bu down, because he is quite dangerous. But one of the things is we've got Miji at the top. We actually want Miji to die in this battle. And I'm going to let you explain the logic behind that, Cheesenator.
Sure, yeah. So this fight is ordinarily quite difficult at the level that the speedrun takes it on. The speedrun also would already be all outing here and possibly risking a reset. But we need the top character to die off because of managing the slots in our sort of character inventory in the item menu that they'll be positioned in order to protect ourselves from the negative consequences of a glitch later on. When you have a character in your battle party who is dead, they actually won't show up. They'll go to the bottom, so to speak, and you can use that to help manipulate who's alive and present in battle and who is just in your travel party walking around. We need to, throughout the game, position, once we have 7 characters, position a non-tactician in the very bottom slot to account for a glitch that happens upon level up, which can randomly open and empty the contents of future treasure chests, possibly breaking the game, meaning we couldn't progress further if a key item drops out of a treasure chest.
Thank you. I tried doing it all out there, hoping this would be enough, but my guys decided they didn't want to do their focus fire appropriately, so back to this we go. And as is wont to happen, Miji has an impeccable ability to stay alive. Alright, we're gonna actually use your resurrect on you. Liru's interesting because he's got a tactic that can do quite a bit of damage, but his attack power is nil, and so he'll either do 2 or 100 damage and nothing in between. There's not really anything we can do to prepare for that, and so we're just going to all out for the rest of this and hope for the best. We did get Miji to die, which is quite nice. Liru does have a healing tactic, as you're seeing right there. Alright, so now we've defeated Lu Bu. This will not be the last we see of Lu Bu. That is for sure. We're going to gain 2 levels here. We gained 5 tactical points that one, so that wasn't really nice. And we only gained 3 that time, not so nice.
Yeah, so Miji, that spare character that we just had killed off there, he'll be replaced very shortly by a tactician that's made up for this game completely from whole cloth, named Huo Hu. But tacticians in particular, we haven't actually used them yet for our team. In this game, in order to use your spells, or tactics as they're called here, you have to set a tactician. Their intelligence will dictate how many of your tactical points you're actually able to use in total. Your max amount you'll be healed to whenever you go to an inn. And then in battle, there's up to 6 tactics that can be selected by a character as an action as opposed to fighting. There's healing, there's damage, and there are a number of utility tactics, and we're going to gradually make use of more of them throughout the run once we set our first tactician here.
Find yet another hidden item in these pots. Right now, they're at least nice enough to hide these things in pots. Over time, they will become less courteous with their weapons and just leave things lying around all over the place. But at least right now, they're isolating them a bit.
Can I pop in with a quick donation?
Absolutely.
We got $50 donation from Ursine saying, "Good luck, Thilo. Your little guy screamed, 'That's Daddy!' Glad to help a worthy cause." Thank you so much for that.
Ursine is my wife, if that wasn't
So cute.
that wasn't clear by the message. So, our big goal here is Dongjua has taken over the capital of China, which is Luoyang, and we're supposed to go deal with that. I never did not become a tactician. Alright, so now we're just gonna all out a couple bit more battles. We're gonna take a little bit of damage, but we bought some healing items. The only time we're gonna buy healing items in this game, other than Resurrect. And it's specifically for this purpose. So I'm kind of looking at who's losing soldiers as this is going on, and I'm seeing Guan Yu, Zheng Fei, Lu Feng, and Guan Ping all could use an elixir, which recovers 100 soldiers. But we'll worry about that after the next battle. The next battle's going to be the last one that's going to have benefited from that extermination glitch. This was actually, before we learned about the one that got rid of all of the early generals, this one is a simple one. If at any point you do a cancel action, Guoji here is supposed to be here, will go away, no matter what else is there. So he was, before we knew what was going on, he just kind of mysteriously disappeared all the time. But that's the last missing general from the game that we're going to deal with. So now that glitch has served its usefulness. So I'm going to use this elixir on the characters that I identified.
Yeah, the healing options in this game are actually pretty unsubstantial for the first half hour, 45 minutes of the run. It takes a while before a healing tactic comes along that really, you're going to get to full anytime you use it. So we tend not to lean on them too hard unless it's absolutely necessary.
So here we're making our first use of tactical points, or tactics. We've got all these tactics have Chinese names to them. Sometimes they actually make sense, sometimes they don't. But this is a fire tactic, and the amount of damage the tactic does is based upon a tactic's base damage plus a multiplier based upon the higher of the strength and intelligence of the characters. The odds of it landing are based sheerly on intelligence, the difference in intelligence of the characters, but the amount of damage it does is based upon the character's intelligence and strength stats. So Guan Yu has a high enough intelligence to land the tactics, while simultaneously having the strength to make it very powerful. So we like to use him for that purpose a lot early game. We're going to see what happens. We're going to give it one quick turn of all out. We can't always pull out. We're going to see what happens if we try this. Alright, let's pull out. But this is again a place where you go all out, but we only have 2 resurrects left. And we're kind of getting low everywhere. At this point, I actually kind of want one of my characters to die, because as mentioned before, the number of soldiers you have affects the damage you do. And right now, Guan Yu and Zheng Fei are both doing a pretty small amount of damage compared to what they could be doing. But I have no way to heal them at this point, unless they die, in which case I can give them a resurrect and they'll come back at full because they have fewer than 400 soldiers. And so At this point, I think we're probably okay. All out, though. I can probably take any death that comes my way pretty safely. All right, that's just fine. So yeah, as we saw Lu Bu again right there. Again, not the last time we will see him. He will make an appearance for quite a large portion of the game. But we've now freed China and Luoyang, only to find that, well, first we gain a level. 5 hype. Only to find this place has been burned to the ground. Now, we found this gold key that in this cave a while back. It turns out there's a small keyhole here, and if you use this gold key, you get an item called the Gem Sword, which we affectionately refer to as the Shiny. And we will be making use of that shortly. We also had this. We got this item. I haven't really talked about it yet. Called Chituma, which we just found kind of randomly on the ground after the Huaxiang battle. There is a hidden agility stat in this game, and whoever holds Chituma in their party gets a 50% boost in that. So, have very, very high probability of going first. So right now we give it to Lu Feng, and we're expecting Lu Feng to go first. So he has Chituma. He also has the Gem Sword, which is important because we'd ideally like him to go first here. And this is the use of the Gem Sword. Unfortunately, Lu Bu is also very, very fast. And there we go. So we're going to try to give him Lu Bu the Gem Sword, but Lu Bu is not the most intelligent general in the world, and he doesn't seem to recognize the shiny thing we are putting in front of his face. So we have to try it multiple times to, sometimes to get him to, to obtain it. There we go. Only took second try. So he asks for it, you give it to him, and he says, hey, how can I join your side instead? Alright. If you know anything about the history of Lu Bu, you'll know he's basically a traitor to everybody. So, we will be on the receiving end of that at a later point in the game. But for now, we're going to make use of him. He is the strongest general in the game. And, he has more soldiers than any of our other generals right now, by a small amount.
So this fight has gone well, but that failure to give Lu Bu the shiny, like what happened the first turn, that's a 50-50, and having a good run early on hinges on getting that 50-50 to go your way, because every turn that you fail to get him to recognize the shiny, he will attack. You know, that's 70 damage a turn, and your character who's using the Gem Sword isn't attacking, and that adds up to possibly making you not just have a slow run, but actually fail the battle, since Lu Bu is so strong and you don't spend any time attacking him.
So you'll notice that in... I just redid my formation, so I put Lu Bu in the front, whatever, but I also put Zheng Fei in the 7th slot behind Huahu. As Cheesenator mentioned, when a character's dead, they effectively move out of the party. But also when the character's a tactician, they move to the last slot of the party. And so, regardless of where they are in your formation. So if you have 7 characters, and at least 6 of them are alive, your tactician won't appear in battle. So, we put the tactician in 6th place, and put Zheng Fei here in 7th. And that prevents that 7th slot glitch that he mentioned earlier from occurring when we gain levels. If we had Huahu in the back, then we would be risking potentially soft-locking the game and not knowing about it till much later. This should be the last section of the game where random encounters just really become a problem.
Can I just pop in with a quick donation?
Absolutely.
We got $10 from Newster, which says, do not pursue Lu Bu! And that goes to Runner's Choice, which in this case, I believe, is going towards getting Dragon Warrior to 1.0. So we're going to downgrade that.
That's absolutely right.
Or try to.
I'm all about making the Dragon Warrior rando runners have a tougher time.
Exactly. I don't actually know what that one's about, but I trust you implicitly.
Well, I never played 1.0, but my knowledge, just from other people who have, is that the original 1.0 races could often go 4 hours. So, those are...
I love it. Yes, everyone, make things harder for our runners. Also, thank you so much for Judge and Phineas for the raid.
So you'll see here I'm hugging the water. When you get or general battles, they will always come with rebel forces and have that same only 5 out of 8 run rate. I'm getting very unfortunate with random encounters up to this point. But you'll see I'm hugging the water because if I don't get this general battles, and it's a 1 in 4 chance of getting these general battles, I'll get the pirate forces, which I only failed around 1 out of 16 times. So.
Yeah, timing-wise, we're about 6 to 7 minutes behind what would be considered a good start time for a speedrun at this juncture. Like, there are already so many things that have occurred in this game that would have made us reset, and of course we've taken battles deliberately slower for marathon safety.
Got another 5 tactical points that turn, so that's very nice. Yeah, this is another one that ordinarily we would just all out, and if we lose, we reset the whole run, but we're not going to do that this time.
Had a question in chat, is this an Enix game? And they were basing that on the tiles, which do resemble Dragon Warrior. No, while it does resemble Dragon Warrior a lot, it is a Capcom game. And one of the things that Capcom aficionados might notice as they watch and listen is that the music is very similar to another Capcom game, specifically DuckTales.
Yes, indeed. How's the Resurrect GP?
Is that because it's the same composer or some
It
other
is the
reason?
same composer.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I specifically noticed it in this battle.
Yeah, I was gonna
this
say.
battle theme right here.
Yeah, definitely. Though it's no moon, but that's no moon, but it's still really good.
Now, if Guan Yu dies here, I don't care because he's going to get resurrected by a story trigger. But we had 4 resurrects, and we used all 4 resurrects. It is a very dicey early game. But once we go, now that we're past here, again, random encounters don't cause much of a problem, and things aren't quite as dicey on a regular basis. Although there are still quite a few opportunities to die. We're going to buy a little bit of gear here. Gear is one of the things that varies by runner in terms of how they ought to gear their parties at various stores, various shops. We've done lots of comparisons and stuff, and there's yet to be any definitive "this is better" or "this is better" result. So, kind of to each their own.
Just want to note on our previous topic about DuckTales, we actually have DuckTales Remastered in this marathon, and we have a bid war there to pick the music version. So it's up to you folks whether you want the 8-bit version or the modern version. Currently, 0 donations towards that, so feel free to bid on your preference.
And for those of you who are fans of spending money on things, shopping. There's a lot of shopping in this game, a lot of menuing as well. Tilo instructed me to help us fill the time during some of these longer shops. One of the things that we're loading up on here, the last item, the smoke pot, that eliminates enemy encounters for... How many steps is it? Do you know?
I don't actually know the number of steps, no. It's either 50 or 64, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's usually in the early game, 1 smoke pot will get you either between towns, or maybe you need to use 2 between towns / castles. We don't have a lot of money right now, so we don't have the luxury of getting a full inventory of them. So there will be some spots where we risk random encounters, but the rest of this chapter is going to be pretty much random battle free, and that's a big point of tension off the runner, because random battles can be just so frustrating to your time.
Yeah, we actually did used to gear up fully, use our money to gear up here, and then just deal with the random battles on the way. And when we started saying, you know what, let's do less gear and try some smoke pots, and it turned out to massively improve our times. So, from a story perspective here, we went up, we finished off Dongjua, everything was great. The gate told us to go rest, and we went to the inn, and now we're being summoned, and find out that this Yuan Shu has now obtained the Imperial Seal and claims the Emperor for himself. Claims that he is the Emperor, and now we have to go deal with that. I'm going to do one more quick safety save. I will touch on this. At this point, again, death is fairly painless, except for having to retrace steps. It's still not great here, but there is this one glitch that happens rarely, but it's every runner has lost a run or two to this particular glitch. And it's basically a race condition. We know what causes it, but we don't know how to make it happen. Since we know what causes it, like in the randomizer, it's been fixed, but we don't know how to make sure we avoid it here. And so we like to save, so for marathon safety, I'll be doing a lot of saving just in case that happens, because that will completely lock the game. Typically happens at billeting, which we haven't seen yet, so I will always save before that, but it can happen in other random places too. There is a Destiny of an Emperor randomizer. It's in its very, very early infancy. I started working on it late in the spring, and have run out of time to spend a whole lot of effort on that. I'll start again at the beginning of the year on trying to improve some stuff on it, but it's there if you want to play around with it. Alright, so we made use of one smoke pod, and make use of another one. This is nice. Mountains have a higher encounter rate than the forest, so back in the day you used to actually take this very wide route here to avoid the mountains, because you'd have lower odds of encounters that way. But now we just mow right through them.
Yeah, mountain tiles are the highest encounter rate in the game. I want to say it's 1 in 4 every step.
1 in 8.
Oh, wait, the mountains are only 1 in 8? Wow.
They're only 1 in 8. Yeah. That's basically identical encounter rates to Dragon Warrior. And the mountains are 1 in 8, forest tiles are 1 in 16, and then grass tiles are actually just flat 1 in 32, whereas in Dragon Warrior it's a little more complicated than that. But it's pretty close.
So really important question here. Which came first? Destiny of an Emperor or Dragon Warrior?
Dragon Warrior came first by quite a few years.
So this was inspired by Dragon Warrior. Gotcha.
Yeah, this definitely has a lot of influence from the Dragon Quest games, but this was, I think, came out in 89, and I want to say Dragon Warrior originally came out in, 86?
That's right.
So, another thing is, because of the walking speed in this game, which is one of the things I really like about it, we don't spend nearly as much time just, we don't spend nearly as much time just on walking, because it's double what you would ordinarily do, which really messes me up when I go from playing this to playing Dragon Warrior Randomizer. But because you move twice as fast, the encounter rates seem like they're more frequent than they actually are. They feel like they're absurdly high for a game like this, but they're actually not that bad. They just seem like it because you're encountering things twice as fast. Alright, ordinarily I would charge forward and just heal myself later, but we took a lot of damage there, so I'm going to go back for a quick, hopefully safe in trip. We've gotten 3 or 4 or 5 tactical point levels in a row now, which is something you really, really, really want to see. Ideally, at the end of the game, we're going to have around above 130 and hopefully around 135 tactical points. We probably aren't going to quite get that high, but 130. We're looking for something above 130. On weapons here, if you've played this game casually, there is this weapon power or attack power value that you see on your generals that, when you equip a weapon, how much stronger is this weapon than this weapon? Interestingly, that number means absolutely nothing. It is true that any weapon with a higher number than the weapon before it will be stronger, but the ratios are completely meaningless. There's no logic behind anything. In fact, the biggest jump of anything, the second strongest weapon in the game is 240, and the strongest weapon in the game is 250, even though it's twice as strong. So, yeah, that number means absolutely nothing except for which one's stronger than the other.
Yeah, additionally, the power of weapons is not additive. It's a multiplier that goes into a long string of a damage formula. So, weapons, for example, the axe, going from the axe to the club, which is a recent upgrade that we made, that's about a 50% damage upgrade, and so that scales with your character's damage going up in the later game with increased soldiers and as well as other multipliers. When we fight at certain enemy battles, there are defense multipliers that we have to take into account, and we're actually coming up on a battle here in just a few moments where there's an NPC who gives us advice to attack it from its west gate, quote unquote, and by attacking the upcoming battle from the left side, we're actually going to eliminate its castle defense multiplier entirely so that we do much more damage.
That's exactly right. We'll take one turn of safety here. Get down. Ordinarily, this is another one you just all out, but we'll do a little bit of focus fire before we attempt that. Interesting, that Cheng-Ne tactic is not one you really ever make use of in the game just because you lose it before it would really become useful. But when you're at a set battle, it actually increases the damage you do by 1.1. But the opponents will use it just based upon the tactics AI, but it doesn't actually do anything for them. So it's a complete wasted turn if they try to use it, which is quite nice when they do that. So when we finish this off, he's going to try to run away. We have two options. We're going to surround him, and he says, "Let me go." Now you can either refuse to let him go over and over and over again, and finally you'll execute him, and you won't have to worry about him the rest of the time, or you can let him go. We actually let him go for reasons later on. He gives you just enough experience to mean you don't have to take any extra random battles, and you still get a tactic when you need it. The amount of experience you get from a battle is based sheerly on the number of soldiers of what's in the battle and the zone it's in. So just having somebody else with more soldiers in the battle will get you more experience. Gonna finish buying armor for the rest of our generals here, or at least our active ones.
By the way, that random weapon that we just picked up off the ground, not random rather, but that stray weapon we just picked up off the ground, the trident, we've just handed it to our strongest general, Zhang Fei. That's really one of the first major power spikes in this game. It is a massive increase in your damage. You'll see a character who might have been previously doing, 60, 70 per hit with the previous tier of item is going to be doing 200 damage, and that can be doubled with these items that are called power pills. Which, did you buy a power pill at Chang'an or no?
I did. I bought one that I gave to Lu Bu because for a gear swap later. But so you'll see Lu Bu just left our party and joined with Yuan Xiao because, as he does, he betrays everybody. And now he just betrayed us. However, even the task gets Lu Bu. If you don't pick him up, you will proceed to fight him both with this Dongjua battle at Chang'an, the second one we fought, and then you will fight him also with in the Yuanshu battle, but he will have 600 soldiers in that battle. So you do not want to be facing him at all over all those times.
Wow, it has been so long since I didn't recruit him that I actually forgot he was in the Nanyang set battle. I thought that his last battle until this upcoming chapter was with Dongzhuo.
Well, okay, so we are having some very unfortunate run luck here. I think I'm actually going to go back and go to the inn after this, because the next battle is not a cinch.
Yeah, wow, this is some pretty horrid luck.
Yeah. Again, even if you round this to a coin flip, five failed coin flips in a row is not what you want to see. This is the kind of thing that happens in a marathon. This is like, as I said, you're pretty much not going to have to worry about random encounters. But you still can. There's still a couple spots where you take a chance. And this is one of them. This is mighty impressive, honestly. Alright, let's go back. Get some of these soldiers back.
Yeah, my current PB for this game has, in that same exact stretch where you just took an encounter, also has about 6 run fails to a random general fight. And every time I run, I'm just like, this is where I can make up the time. I just have to have normal luck, and I'm going to gain like 3 minutes.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of volatility in this game. And it's funny, because if people's PBs seem to bounce around. Brutal early game, great late game, and then great early game and brutal late game. You know, it doesn't seem, it's very, very difficult to put all of them together. And if you'll see here, okay, first we got this fire tactic that's pretty nice and strong, but when Zhengfei attacks, you'll see we're doing 50 damage with the spear and then 235 damage with the trident. And the spear is the strongest weapon we have up to this point, other than the trident. So you can see a major difference now. Again, this is ordinarily where you'd all out. I'm going to take one more turn to help ensure our safety.
Yeah, it's also worth pointing out there's a power spike here for the enemies. This is where their health totals really, or not health, but soldier counts really start to outstrip our parties. They've suddenly spiked to being over 1,000, which gives them an increased multiplier on their damage, and we're still down here at a meager 300, 400 soldiers, and we really, for the rest of the game, won't match soldier counts with the opposition, and we'll have to outwit them instead.
Yeah, there's also, in the outwitting part, that there's added challenges that we haven't quite seen yet, because most of the battles, we'll spend a lot of time in All Out. We will see a drastic decrease in All Out later on in the game. So it's not all just walk into a battle, press the button, and be done. Though being prepared to All Out in the right situations is definitely a factor in trying to do the speedrun, because, it's about 7 times fast. You can go through 7 turns the amount of time it takes you to do 1 turn of just actual normal fighting. So here we're going to buy some power pills. And these power pills are going to be used to great effect later on. One of the nice things about power pills is the way the game calculates damage. power pills do an exact amount of, or critical hits do an exact amount of damage. I mean, given the other factors, you know in advance how much it's going to do. There's no random factor in the moment. So it's quite convenient because you can plan attacks in such a way to know how much damage you're going to do. So this is one of the first areas in the game where we actually want random encounters. We are trying to grind about 300 experience. We're actually going to gain a level here, and that level is going to be... it's got a whole story behind it, but this is the Fu Bing level. And unless you have Shuja or Liu Bei in your party, you're not going to learn a tactic here, so you don't gain any tactical points. Back in the day, that was always something it was a guaranteed loss. You could not get it unless you grind in the very opening zone with Liu Bei, which of course nobody wanted to do. However, when the Yellow Scarf Extermination glitch came, it happened to reduce the amount of experience you got by enough that you had a chance of making it all the way to this point without having gotten enough experience to gain that level. And so we can actually get that now. The problem is, if you want to get that, you can't take advantage of any of the fights that you get on the way, which can be a problem in its own right, and ends up slowing you down to finish off the grind. So I tend to ignore that regardless. But it had been kind of a white whale for a long time, and we were able to find, when we got the glitch there, we were able to we were able to finally get the Fu Bing level with someone who can learn the tactic, which was really cool. Alright, so this is billeting, and this is where we can only have 7 people in our party, and so we drop people and then pick up people to replace them. And dropping off people is where that one weird crashy glitch happens most frequently. So I have actually routed in my route the minimum number of billeting trips possible in order to prevent or minimize my chances of losing a run to that glitch. Alright, so now we're at 25.99 experience. We want to get to somewhere between 28.18 and 28.26, ideally.
Speaking of that billeting system, that actually reminds me a lot of Dragon Quest III. I don't know which game came first, but in Dragon Quest III, you kind of do the exact same thing of going in and adding and leaving party members there at the beginning in the first castle.
Yeah, definitely. It's very, very similar concept. You just don't get to roll and rename these guys. So inevitably, this is where you get the hero run that you always wished for the entire beginning of the game, is here when you're attempting to actually grind. Oh, I can't take this one. That's a little too much.
And something this speedrun entirely glosses over, when, speaking of general management and adding and removing from your party, is there's actually a Pokemon-style catch-em-all mechanic in Destiny of an Emperor. After you've finished all the required story battles for a general in a particular zone, when you randomly encounter them, at the end of the fight, you have a chance to capture them, and then they might give you a different condition. They'll either just immediately join you, or they'll ask you for cash, or they'll ask you for a particularly good horse, which is a steed you can buy from the item shop. And if you have the requisite bounty, then they'll come to your side and you can start to use them in your fights against future battles. And it's a really fun mechanic. It takes a lot of time, though. We don't have that kind of time in the speedrun.
Yeah, actually, I did. I mean, to that point. Ooh, I do not want to fight you. To that point, in the first half of the game, your odds of running into a general are 1 in 4. into any, into a general battle are 1 in 4. Then you have to consider the number of generals there are in the zone, and your odds of running into that. And then even after that, when you get them, they have a 25% chance of saying, yeah, no, I'm not going to join you. So your odds of actually getting a particular general you want, you need to go through a lot of battles to get there. So definitely a speedrun cannot rely on that. If we could, there are a couple of generals we most certainly would get, namely Zhou Yu, but that is not a realistic approach.
Is Gongji here the first opposing general in a set battle that can cast Yanrei?
I think so, probably, because I don't think Shenpei can.
Yeah, this is the first fight where one of the enemies can cast an area of effect tactic that hits our entire party, and given how relatively low our health or soldier counts are at this point in the game, it can be pretty devastating if just like 2 of those come out.
Yeah, I mean that it does around 120 damage or so a piece, which you can see that's a pretty healthy chunk of our health pool here. So definitely not something you want to be working with. Alright, so now the reason we wanted to grind is because we needed to hit that level here, where we learned Tongxian. That is the 2nd level healing tactic, and it does around 400 to 500 health per use. Well, as you can see, our highest general has 600 health, so being able to do 400 to 500 health rather than around the 100, little under 100 health the previous healing tactic did, is quite favorable. And now, let me make sure I've got myself geared appropriately here. Okay, so now let me use this last smoke pot. And now this is a battle that is a massive gatekeeper battle, playing casually, and it's also a pretty significant battle for the speedrun. Things can go awry really fast. As you can see, the size of these bars is quite different. But as mentioned before, with these soldiers, we want to get them under 1,000 soldiers as quickly as possible, because that 1,000 soldiers makes them hit a whole lot harder. It's almost halves the damage they do once they get under there. So we've got that with Yangling now. And we need to do that before they knock us below 100, so our damage is less. Got Huangzhong. Got Wei Yan. And so now we're in better shape. Still not wonderful, but...
Yeah, this battle points out a big power disparity where the enemies have over 1,000, and we're just trying to get them below that so we don't wipe, while we're trying to stay above 100, right? A whole 10x lower.
Oh, disappointing.
Oh yeah, chat is talking about the change in the bars for the soldier counts. We did recently get Zhu Kang there at the top, who he pushes up our health past 500 or so, which changed our bar colors from pink to orange, and there'll be a succession of colors as we move on throughout the game when we hit higher thresholds, so that there's always an ability to see the relative totals of soldier counts in fights, no matter what scale we're at, if we're talking hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands.
So getting Huangzhong and Wei Yan down is the big part of this, because they are the ones who have massive strength. Once we get the others below, we can mow through them pretty quickly. That bow we picked up, I didn't really touch on that, but the bow we picked up in the last town, and not only is it stronger than any weapon other than the trident, but it also attacks twice a turn. And so it does, in total, it does more damage than the trident. It's just each attack doesn't do quite as much. With the power pill, it only applies to the first attack. So, but now we've got Wei Yan and Huang Zhang, who we just wanted to get down there, decide to join us. Now, Wei Yan has those 13, 17 soldiers that we saw, which are quite lovely. Huang Zhang is another one of these tigers that gains generals as the game progresses, and so because of that, he won't have anywhere near what he did in the battle we just fought, unfortunately. But ultimately, he'll have more. Actually, I say that. I don't think he'll ever have more while he's in our party.
Yeah. Also, this is a massive power spike. We've just transitioned from one of the hardest battles into the game to a sequence of some of the easiest, because we're just getting so much more durable in terms of total number of soldiers, and especially we're getting much more offensive power. Wei Yan gives us our first general with over 1,000 soldiers, as Tilo stated, and then we just picked up this sword that was just lying around in front of a well. Good thing we didn't step on it. Pick up this sword, and the sword, like you saw, that trident was a lot of damage, and the bow was even almost matching the trident. The sword is yet another multiple. I want to say it's about 2.5x the trident itself, so it's massive. That sword in the hands of Wei Yan with that extra soldier multiplier is doing hundreds and hundreds of damage per round.
Only thing better than one sword? Two swords. Again, people used to leave things in pots. Now they just leave swords lying around on the floor. In fact, it's so bad, later on, somebody cuts their foot on one of those. We won't actually talk to that person, but...
This pretty ho-hum battle here that should be a non-issue and be over shortly. As a kid, when I was playing this, I didn't know that you could refuse Zhao Fan's offer, and if you take his offer, you stay at the inn here overnight, but then you're awoken in the middle of the night by a surprise attack, and all your characters have like 20% of their HP or something, pretty much dooming you to failure if you do not immediately have a way to heal. So I thought as a kid that I would have to spend time leveling up my party until I got the first AoE healing tactic. But then along came the internet and I realized you could just say no, and that didn't happen.
And you have to say no twice, because I have been known to say no and then just start mashing my way through and ultimately get beat up anyway. Just selling a few things here so that I have room to buy some more smoke pots.
During the shopping trip, I'll also note we've been joined in chat by Akmalim, who is the current world record holder for Destiny of an Emperor and also the creator of the task. So if you've got questions about the game and neither Tilo nor I seem to be responding, Akmalim's got you covered.
Most everything I know about the game I learned from him, so... Yeah, as we mentioned, menuing is a big portion of the speedrun, because there's a lot of this, and he is far more talented than I at pressing buttons fast. Far more talented than most at pressing buttons fast. So it's funny when you put the runs side by side, and you'll see where we get to a certain spot pretty much at the same place, and then after the menuing trip, he's gone and a good minute before I am. Yeah, so far he's the only one who's broken the sub 3 barrier in this game. I'm 22 seconds off of that. But And he hasn't just broken it, he has crushed it.
One little bit of trivia about the game, probably worth mentioning, is that we've technically been sequence breaking, not like we had to do a whole lot in order to do this. The area is wide open to us, but this is Zone 5, and we previously were in Zone 4 in that northern region with the sort of white sand. And traditionally, if you didn't know any better, you would have just charged onward and fought all the battles in that northern region, which are actually quite difficult, and there are stronger weapons and stronger generals down here, so it makes total sense for the speedrun to come this way first, but yeah, it would be an uphill battle if we had to battle through those northern fights before this sort of central region here.
Yeah, definitely. And the weapons that you would get in that other zone can't hold a candle to the swords that you get, the sword and bow you get here. And so, yeah, it's a massive amount of difficulty going that way too. It's not any easier. Alright. Now, we're going to go back to Nanyang here. And after an in-trip, we're going to go talk to this guy back here, who acts all innocent, but he just happens to have a key that he just knows you're going to need, and he's willing to sell it to you for a very high price. And we'll thank him later.
Since we've got a brief lull here until the next set battle, I'll just note for chat, casual players will notice that we just passed by a sort of optional story trigger, and I'm the only one of the speedrunners of the game right now who actually opts into it. There's a general you can recruit who's pretty famous in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms franchise, Pong Tong. He's got plenty of lore. I'm pretty sure he's the one responsible for the whole like fireboats story that you would see in Destiny of Emperor 2, as well as in many of the Dynasty Warriors games. He's a very strong general. He's got 3,700 soldiers, very, very high intelligence, and it's enormously more powerful as a tactician than anyone available in the game presently, but the speedrun doesn't need him. He's a random fight that can be a little bit time consuming to collect, and additionally we're about a chapter away from getting his better tactician, another historically famous one, Zhuge Liang.
Yeah, I've always kind of had wanted to be able to do it, but I didn't think it was actually feasible. And then Cheesenator's like, you know what? Try this thing out. And it turns out that it's not only feasible, there's the chance it's faster. It's hard to say because just there's so many different ways to compare things, but it's definitely a route I want to give a shot to one of these days when I have more time to spend doing some more extensive rerouting. But yeah, I actually love the fact that you found a way to put him in the game in a real competitive way. That is absolutely awesome. And this has been what's been happening a whole lot with this game. It's got a lot of life to it right now. We've got 5 active runners, and every time a new person comes in, they come in with their own view and their own thoughts, and they come in with another good idea that helps us improve the speedrun a little more. Not to mention, we got a lot of information from a Japanese runner named Masiu, who is the world record holder in the Japanese version. And he actually is the one who discovered both of the glitches that we're using it to our advantage in this game. He was the one who discovered the Yellow Scarves Extermination glitch, and he discovered the glitch we're going to use later on in this game. So he's been massively helpful at improving this whole speedrun. Just kind of give a note of how this thing has improved. The world record had been 407 since I want to say 2014 or 2015, and then I started running it, and AC Milan started running it again, and then we had Hangry and Cheesenator and Sunwintai all come in and run it. And since February, the world record was finally broken in March, and so in February it was 407, and currently it is 252. So we've cut quite a bit of time off of this game in the last few months. So here we finally get back to Yuan Shu. Or when we let him go, we'll see him at this point.
Yeah, there's a funny little story element there where Yuan Shao up top is talking about getting revenge for his brother, who's right next to him. He's there. Everyone wave hi to Yuan Shu. Zombie Yuan Shu, as we sometimes refer to him. Ooh, and this is, I think, the only battle in the entire game where anyone makes use of the Fu Bing tactic, which was of significance earlier when we mentioned that it was one of the sort of rare tactics where you could actually miss the level up to gain the tactical points. It's really quite a cool tactic. It sort of 1.5x's your damage, spreading it out over 2 hits, and yeah, I would love to use it for more parts of the game later. It would definitely help replace power pill purchases at some junctures, but unfortunately, new tactics that you learn overwrite old tactics in the same slot, and some of them you don't keep for very long.
Alright, so here we're going to learn a tactic called Giro, and that is one that we'll be making quite heavy use of. Now this is a massive menuing section, so anything you want to, any donations or anything to be read, or any other random things you want to add Cheesenator, go for it, because this will be a couple of minutes. Oops.
I'm waiting just a few moments here to hear about possible donations or other messages first.
Okay, looks like I'm just here for
I
another
don't
moment.
have any.
Oh, you're there. Hi.
Sorry, I don't have any new donations, but hi, this is Silverfire, and I'd just like to talk about Take This. One of the things that we've been able to add this year with Speedrun Ragnarok is that we'll be hosting some panels with some of the clinicians with Take This. If you noticed in the schedule, there's a couple of them in the evenings, and we'll be having various clinicians in Take This come and talk about mental health, and talk about, you know, how it's portrayed in the gaming industry, and, you know, there's some really interesting content that's upcoming for that. So take a look at those segments in the schedule, see if any of those topics interest you, and please join us for those.
Thank you for that, Sylv. So in this town here, we're actually going to revisit this same town multiple times, because you notice the shop menu has just so many goodies in it. It has everything that we really need for stocking up and reusing as consumables as the game progresses. And we're filling up now our inventory. We're going to be getting a lot of smoke pots because we have a long stretch of just terrain to cover in the world coming up between fights, and we're going to cover an entire chapter of the game before we hit another shop. Additionally, this is going to be the only point in a typical speedrun where there's a save warp. In fact, the only save in the speedrun in general, if you're not doing marathon safety. We're going to bounce from here all the way back down to a castle we've already been to, just so conveniently happens to be that the Emperor is currently, well, not Emperor, I guess he's, what would you call Liu Bei at this point? Is he an Emperor yet?
No, he hasn't declared himself emperor yet. He's the, I don't know, ruler over Xingzhou. I don't know what.
Yeah, anyways, our dear leader is conveniently at a location that's much closer to where we want to be, so we're going to bounce all the way out from this northern section back to the central area of the map and be on our way in just a few moments here. There's another billeting trip and so forth. This is quite a long menu, as Tilo said. According to Nooster in chat, Liu Bei, it'd be a governor or inspector or something of that nature. Okay. Yeah, I guess the other thing we're stocking up on here for people who haven't been watching much of the run yet, power pills are an item that's consumed once and they are guaranteed critical hit, so roughly double the damage that you would normally do. They're very cheap, 50 a pop, and there are only so many set battles, but you really have a lot of spare cash, especially when it comes to buying something that only costs 50 in the back half of the run. So many of the upcoming battles, their success for this sort of under-leveled speedrunning party hinges upon having 2 to 4 or 5 power pills each on our stronger generals.
Alright, here's going to be the one save and reset, as Cheesenator mentioned. Because when you load wherever Liu Bei is. And I talked to the guy, and he took me to Guiyang. And if you're in Guiyang, where Liu Bei is, Shuja finds out his mother is ill. I think that's actually Deception, but finds out his mother is ill and leaves. If you go out there and follow him, he will tell you to find Zhuge Liang, and so we will go do that. The music changes to signify that we are in a new spot in the game. And we are on our way to find Zhuge Liang in this game's fetch quest. So we're going to come here to Zhuge Liang's house. Going to talk to his brother Zhen, who we will find out who will look different, and we will talk to it later on. But he says he may be in the house of Sui Zhouping in Luosong Village. So interestingly, if you go to Luosong Village, which is where you start the game, you will go to this house and a person outside of it says, Sui Zhouping is never home. And you walk in and it's empty. This is the one point in the game where he's actually there. And then, so we're going to head there. We picked up Ma Liang here. Ma Liang is a strategist who we're keeping for a very specific tactic. He says that never home. But he happens to be here. So you go here. Oh, he's looking for him. He was here, but he left. So we go back. To go chasing him yet again.
Since we're using so many of them right now, I guess I should point out the item, the Gullwing. We haven't really talked about. The Gullwing is really, really convenient. It's like the return spell in Dragon Quest III, in that you've got a specific list of towns, not all of them, but many different towns that are Gullwing points. Once you've been there the first time, they are added to your list, and then you can Gullwing between them for major movement convenience. And this whole 3 visits section here, trying to find Zhuge Liang, is just going after going after going.
Yeah, so you go back there, he says, he was here, or he's gone, again. If he shows up, I'll call on you in Nanyang. So we're going to go here to Nanyang. Before we go out, we're going to do one more billeting trip, but as mentioned before, we always want to save before we attempt a billeting trip, just in case. Do not want to redo 20-minute portions of the game, although this one actually wouldn't be that big a deal because we did just save warp a second ago. So first, I want to replace Jotsong with Zhao Yun. Zhao Yun is the first character we've got here who will be with us for the remainder of the game. Oops, I forgot to. And I need to drop off Guan Ping because we're going to be replacing him with the next character we get. Actually, I guess Ma Liang is with us for the rest of the game nowadays, too. So we come here, we go talk to Liu Bei, and he says, hey, his brother Jin came here, you should go home again. Alright, off we go again. Faster to going out of that throne room than it is to actually walk out. Then... So off we go for the third try, to Zhuge Liang's house to see if we can get him. He's here, but he's sleeping. If you say you wake him up, he yells at you, is my house on fire? No, then leave me alone. If you say no, but then press another button, then he will say, or his brother will say, oh, I'll let you know when he wakes up. If you say no and you just wait for a long time, he finally wakes up and says, okay, fine, I'll join you. But I'm going to Guiyang first. So, now we can't go straight to Guiyang, we can go to Changsha. We'll lose our power pill one step out of it. From powerful smoke pot. And now we go in and go talk to Zhuge Liang here. And he says, hey, on the way here, Zhang Song says Shu is being raided by rebels and threatened by Hanzhong army, and since you're his relative, the governor Lu Jing has begged you to come, so I'll join you if you'll do that. So now we've got Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang is the smartest tactician in the game. There's one tactic only he can learn, which is an AoE healing tactic that is just way overpowered. It costs almost no tactical points, and is just altogether amazing. We're going to fill up our inventories on the smoke pots to replace the smoke pots and gold wings we just used on that trip. And we'll be off our way to Shu to help out Lu Jing.
Yeah, the stats in this game, the two primary stats, strength and intelligence, there's one general with 255 strength, you've already seen him, that's Lu Bu, and there's one general with 255 intelligence, and that's Zhuge Liang. And he's massively powerful and smart in his way, though he won't actually be in our party for much of the run, simply because of that whole concept of the tactician. Once you set them, they're automatically sent to the back, so unless you have 5 or fewer living members in your traveling party, they will not appear in the battle. But also, we do a lot of all-out in the speedrun, and when you're all-outing, you can't cast tactics, only the opponents can cast tactics, so tacticians, they don't hit very hard, thus they're not actually that useful in an all-out scenario.
Now, along the same lines as Miji, we've got Ma Liang here. We've got him for a couple of specific reasons, but we don't actually want him in our party, because he's not very good. He's not very strong. I mean, he's smart, but again, we only have somewhat limited amount of tactics we want to use. So, our goal here is to put him in the top of the party and have him die. Unfortunately for us, he's got more soldiers than anybody else on our party. So having him die, and our healing tactic is an AoE healing tactic, so we can't heal our other generals without healing him too. So it can be a little tricky. I mean, first spot in the party is targeted more frequently, but it could take a few battles before he finally gets routed.
Yeah, and if you thought we were strong, because we did just flatten the last 2 chapters thanks to having Wei Yan and those sword upgrades and so forth, look at the enemies now. They have over 3,000 soldiers apiece, so they're quite sturdy.
Well, that's a pleasant start. Yeah, and beyond that, there's also the enemies have weapons too, and the weapons that the enemies here in Shu have, not only do they have more soldiers, so they're going to have that multiplier for a much longer period of time, but they also that was beautiful. But they also have better weapons, so they just do more damage altogether. Right now. So we gave Maliang a bow just so he would do something while he was there, but now that he's gone, we move the bow back over to Jayun and let him have that for attacking purposes. At this point of the run, the use of smoke pots is actually where they're used is kind of deliberate because of some item manipulation we have to do in a bit. Alright, so off we continue. Now, I mentioned Chituma a while ago. Wei Yon's Wei Yon with Chituma is pretty much guaranteed to go first the entire time you have him because his agility is so high, and unlike in later chapters, in Shu here, nobody's agility is high enough that they're close to max. And so we'll usually use Jiro with him to start any given battle.
Oh, speaking of agility, this is a good time to point out that along with the fact that agility itself is a hidden stat, there are also hidden scaling multipliers as you progress through the chapters of the game that actually increase the agility of the Tiger Generals, 4 out of 5 of which in our current attacking party are Tigers.
And here we go. We're going to learn Beiji, which replaces that Fubing tactic, but is something we'll be using all the way through the rest of the game. It doubles your attack power, just a pure double of the attack power, and is quite useful for that reason.
I was just about to note that we did not reorder our party here, but we're hoping that that does not end up mattering.
Oh! Well, it mattered. I'm not used to Maliang dying that early. So, Fajing just used a tactic called Jitsa, which you don't actually see a whole lot of in this game. But, as you just saw it there, which is why we go after him.
Yeah, that first round of combat went just about as poorly as it could have because we lost a character, we got our defensive doubler cancelled, and our offensive doubler on our strongest character didn't go off until after he'd already attacked.
Yeah, it was pretty rough all around. I'm gonna take no chances here. So he's sneaky because like he can because he uses the Shitsa, so it nullifies all of our status effects. So we use Jiro, which halves the damage we take, and now that was nullified. It also, fortunately, he got it off before we got the Beiji off. But if we got Beiji off on Zheng Fei, that also would get nullified. And so all those tactic points we spent on status stuff gets completely taken out. And so he can become a major problem in this battle. Now, his odds of landing Jitsa are based on the intelligence of the top person in the party. If Maliang's still alive, Maliang's very intelligent, so he has very low chances of landing it. If you don't have Maliang alive, what you generally do there is put Zhao Yun at top, because he's also very smart. And so he protects against the success of that. But I'm used to having Maliang still alive at that point, so I was not prepared for that. All right, so we're gonna get into this town, and we find Liu Zhang stuck behind this door, and we need to break it down. He says he was kidnapped by the Hanzhong army. Blah blah blah. And so we rescue him. If we don't rescue him, we get blocked later. That door was a cause of much consternation to me as a child, because you have to mash against it. You can't just hold the button against it.
You're already running away. I was about to say safety save.
Oh. Yeah, well. Yeah.
Well, let's just hope that this battle goes very smoothly.
I'm less concerned about the battle and more concerned about the ability. I meant to do the safety save in there. Yep. It's okay. The odds of it happening are really, really low. Although, since we're in a marathon, maybe they're higher.
Yeah, we're coming up on a battle which is... I guess it's more of a run killer for, when you're going for just absolute time in a speedrun outside a marathon setting. We're not likely to die here, but it could be very inconvenient. So I'm sure Tilo will take more of a defensive approach.
Yeah. This is the first battle where someone has Jimian, which is a tactic that will cause us much consternation.
Yeah, that third general there on screen on the right side, Pengde, he has Jimian as stated. Jimian, when you use it, enemies' physical attacks are just completely cancelled out, and that can last an indefinite number of rounds. There's a chance for it to fade away at the end of a round of combat, but it might not, and it might just never end, and then you lose.
Yep, so we're going all out on trying to, actually, let me have you use that. We're going all out on trying to get Pengde down. I would like Huangzhong to go next. Thank you. Oh, I'm sure it will. Actually, I don't know that I've ever had it crash on this particular building trip.
Well, let's not curse it, shall we?
Yeah, it's a fair point, too. Usually once you have him down, you've got your party buffed up enough. This isn't a big deal. If any of the top two die, it's not a big deal. We're losing them after this battle anyway. Also very important not to just be mashing the B button when he's talking, because you could say no to him and not have... Because it says Ma Dai and Ma Chao then offer to join you. And if you say no... I think I'd probably have reset at that point if I'd said no. But, nah, maybe not. Maybe I'd just use Huangzhong instead of Ma Chao at the end. Alright, so now... we are going to give Huangzhong's gear to Zhuge Liang. And we are going to equip it. Then we are going to buy some more smoke pots. We're going to buy 3 smoke pots for Huangzhong. We will not see him for a very long time. Actually, we won't see him at all. But the person who gets us inventory, we won't see for a very long time. But we will be happy we did this at the end. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and fill Ma Liang back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So similarly with earlier in the game where we fought a battle and then 2 people immediately joined us, Wei Yan and Huangzhong, we also just got 2 new generals after this battle, and it was the same dynamic. One of them is going to come into the party with a fixed number of very high soldier count, many more so than we're used to having right now, and the other one is a Tiger General. That's Ma Chao, and he's going to be scaled in accordance with the party's current level, though we're not actually going to put him into our party yet because he doesn't bring any specific strengths that we need at this juncture of the game with his low soldier count, so he'll be on the shelf until much later.
Alright. Got through the building with no crashes. Yeah. So let me do this. Actually, I'm gonna move the sword over. Usually do that, but we'll do it for extra safety. Alright, so now, if you remember, I told you about someone who we continue to never see the end of. And, oh, actually, you know what? I think I need to take the battle out here. I'm not sure if Lua is in, which zone that's in.
Surprise! He's back!
I'm surprisingly self-aware. My life was an essay in betrayal. We are now finally done with Lubu. We will need to take one more battle.
God, and he's so powerful here, right? Like 7,000 soldiers, he's got his, of course, max strength stat, and then just very high attack power. Like, if you could somehow bring the current iteration of Lubu over to your side, you would just be a wrecking crew.
Yeah.
So these particular encounters aren't actually random? Or at
Just
least
that
the one against Lubu?
well,
Okay.
The encounter itself is... So, encounters are... the first thing it does is it rolls and says, is this an encounter with the general? And if it is, then it picks the general. In Shu, the odds of running into a battle with the general are 50%. And the very first battle with the general you will encounter is always going to be Lubu in Shu. So it was a random encounter, but
Not very random.
But if it rolled that 50% to actually be a general, then it was going to be Lubu. Alright, so we got him down. It's important to get him down just because if you accidentally get a random encounter somewhere, you want to be you do not want to be losing all of your you don't want to be random you don't want to be encountering him when you're not expecting to encounter him. Say that. Yeah, as Asimla mentions, the Pong Tong encounter is the same way. You do a story trigger to unlock him, and then when you finally run into a general battle, you will end up fighting him, having guarantee fighting against him, but you still have to get the general battle for that to happen. Alright, this is a pretty simple one right here. We don't bother even casting Giro. Guan Yu's doing Guan Yu things, so we'll stop and Guan Yu it's kind of a meme in the community. Guan Yu, just no matter what you do with him, he is going to take massive amounts of bad RNG going in his favor. Or not in his favor, going against him. He is our punching bag.
Yeah, chat is pointing out the relative strength of our current healing tactic. Yep, we have an AoE healing tactic right now that's about, it's not quite 1,000, it's like 800 or 900 soldiers per, but it's for the amount of soldiers that we have in total at this point in the game. It's basically a full heal party-wide, very powerful, but it will get outclassed in a matter of a chapter or two, and it'll also get replaced by the second to last healing tactic, which is different. It's a single target full heal that we'll have to make do with for a stretch of the game.
Yeah, we move from heal us to heal all, then finally heal us all. Well, heal us most. So heal, or the Wanfu, which is that single target full heal, is the most obnoxious tactic in the game because you almost never want it. You know, you tend to want the full party heal, but your opponents who can all have different tactics and use them at unlimited amounts, having Wanfu is really, really bad for you because it is not fun when guys recover tens of thousands of soldiers at once. So alright.
Yeah, for Final Fantasy runners, imagine, it's like Chaos casting Cure 4.
Or for Dragon Quest runners, it's like Malroth casting Heal All.
Ooh.
In other words, there's a long history of these these RPGs treating runners very, very badly.
It's almost like this one is no different.
About that.
Is there a moment right now?
Yeah.
Alright, I just wanted to talk about some of the things that we have for prizes now, because thanks to a generous member of our community, we do have several games that you can win as well if you donate at any point during the marathon for prizes. The Collection of Mana and The World Ends With You for Switch, and Kingdom Hearts 3, as well as Kingdom Hearts, the Kingdom Hearts collection that has like everything except Kingdom Hearts 3 for PS4. Donate at any point during the marathon to win those, to get a chance to win those. And thank you for supporting Take This.
So from a story perspective there, we just actually fought the relative of Liu Bei there in Liu Jing, which you find out afterwards that basically he sided with the Hanzhong army that was originally causing the problem. And so now they attack you, or you have to deal with them instead and actually take out your relative.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty interesting juncture in the story, in that now there's finally this sort of clear-cut Three Kingdoms division in the game emerging, where we've just, along with Liu Bei's army, we've just settled Shu, which is one of the three, and then there's Wu and Wei, which we'll be progressing through in that order, and we're about to find out shortly that Wu is waging this assault on one of the territories, Jingzhou, that we were in earlier, that Liu Bei's army is currently holding down. So it gets, quite dramatic. Now you've got this sense that there are these, multiple armies waging this sort of multi-pronged war, and there are, devious alliances between some of the forces, and it's all quite historic.
I didn't really touch on it before, but the we got this iron ore in the cave when we were going in after Lubu and whatnot, and that iron ore is used if there's a story trigger that requires it, and so we're going to give it to this guy, and he's going to say, "This is great, and I'm going to make great, wonderful swords out of these." So go do other things while I work on the swords. And we're gonna, step out and back in, and oh, forgive me, in the 3 seconds you were out of here, I made 5 swords, and a bandit with those yellow scarves came and stole them. Fortunately, as far as we're concerned, he only needed to make 1. And then, make sure I've got my gold wing set up right. Okay.
Yeah, that little step out and step back in trigger is a lot like getting your tempered sword in Link to the Past.
The only difference is you actually have to have cleared this castle before he'll take the weapon and do stuff with it. Did I not? I did not. Oh, I need to sell. I missed a set of weapons to sell. And that trident may actually be important from a money perspective. So anyway, this is the one time in the game when we actually purchase a weapon. Or at least in my route. It's the one time in the game it's actually purchased a weapon. We purchased these battle axes. The battle axes are a pretty extensive upgrade against versus swords compared to what most other weapon upgrades are. No battle axe. You have nothing. Good. Alright. Right, and then we will safety save just in case anything goes awry. And we are going to come find this sword that somebody randomly dropped in front of the castle. Again, there's a trend here with people being very, very blasé about swords. And we're going to talk to him, and he basically says, we handle Shu, we're controlled Shu, Jingzhou, and Wu and Wei are being controlled, and blah, 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 but I can't control this area by myself, so I'm charging you, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei with help in Jingzhou. So they are now leaving us to become, to be in charge of that area. So once that happens, everything's good, right? Nope. Cao Cao of Wei took ill and died. Sun Tzu of Wu was assassinated. And now all of a sudden Wu is attacking Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. So we've got to go bail them out now.
Fun fact, I think those death events are reversed from what happened in Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I think it was that Cao Cao, or whichever one said they were ill versus which one was assassinated. I think it's vice versa.
Oh yeah. For whatever reason, they unequip this gear. And then... And so we just got Guan Qing, who's Guan Yu's son. He offered him to fight instead. And then over here, we're gonna get Zhang Bao, who was Zheng-Fei's son. Guanxing is a pure downgrade from Guan Yu. Zhang Bao is not quite as strong, but he is smarter. So that offsets some of that. And Zhang Bao needs to equip. Oh, he did equip here. I need to do a little bit of menu swapping. The rest of my gearing that's going to happen. Oh, I never did equip your battle axe. And who's got Chi-Tu-Ma? Ma Dai's got Chi-Tu-Ma, is going to go to Guanxing. And do you still have a resurrect? You do, that's going to go to Guanxing. Alright. The one place where menuing can really get out of control if we're not careful. Or inventory management. Because unlike everything else up to this point, where what you've got in your inventory is pretty much guaranteed to go a certain way, Jimian and a few deaths here and there can get in the way of power pill usage, and who has the power pills and whatnot. And when that happens, that affects who can carry what various things, and of course deaths also affect the number of resurrects. So mostly I've got things pretty well organized, but in this particular section, power pill usage can complicate matters. So we gave Chi-Tu-Ma to Guanxing. He will have it for the remainder of the run. His agility is just enough that he will be maxed out with Chi-Tu-Ma, so he should have very high probability of going first. So we use that to use Jiro to decrease our damage taken, and then we gave Beiji to everybody who's strong to finish the task off real quickly. And just like that, this first Wu occupation has been defeated. We will go back to Changsha, and after a quick in trip, we'll go to the north and take out the other town that's been occupied by Wu armies. Then after that, we're going to do something a little interesting. So, if the level progression in terms of experience points per level, if you were to chart it out, it follows a reasonably linear progression per groups of levels, just with the slope being different in the different categories of levels, or different ranges of levels. But that was obviously calculated offline and then input manually into the game, because there's the occasional point where digits are transposed in those, which cause the gaps between levels to be different than what you would expect them to be. And it so happens that going from level 23 to level 24 in this game is a massively larger amount of experience than going between any other set of levels in that range. You have to go several levels away before you have another gap that's that big. Now what's going to happen here is, after we finish this battle, we're going to learn Wanfu and go to level 23. Like so. There is a hidden guy in the town of Jizhou. The town of Jizhou, who will randomly raise your level one time in the game. And when he does that, he just basically ups your experience to the amount you need for that level. So by talking to him right after hitting level 23, we get a massive amount of experience versus anywhere else in this whole range. And that cuts out most of the grinding that we used to have to do here. Alright, 22.
So he's just going to be level with us here.
That's right. Alright, now's the next big menuing thing, so anything you want to fill in here, go nuts.
I'm just going to encourage everyone to, if you donate even just $1, that means I will read your pun on the air.
Hold on, we get to get you, Sil, to read our puns on air.
That is right.
Oh my goodness. I would take Sil up on this. Seriously, it's puns. And if you can make them related to Lu Bu, then that's extra great.
Oh, absolutely. Or any of these other general names.
No, only Lu Bu. No, seriously, any of them, but Lu Bu, come on. He can betray us once more from the pun grave or something.
And that would be a great thing to do right now because we are once again in a long shop. There are just so many of these where we fill up to somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 20 smoke pots because the game, it stretches out almost artificially the amount of terrain you have to cover in the later portions by just making these winding map sections of, big towering pillar of mountains. You got to walk all the way around, or like long rivers with bridges on either end, and so you're just constantly going back and forth, using all these smoke pots to traverse the terrain.
I do want to take just a brief moment to mention some of the upcoming bid goals. In Squidlet, there is a bonus squid % run with dancing squids that is at 70 out of $275. In Celeste, we can have Flygon read us the Wave Dash PowerPoint, which is far more entertaining than any other PowerPoint. It also has good music. In Gargoyle's Quest 2, we have a post-run puppy cam, and in Typing of the Dead, we can upgrade the run to cutscene %, where we won't be skipping the cutscenes. And the cutscenes in that game are quite enjoyable.
All right, so what just happened is after we cleared all that out, we went and talked back to Liu Bei and found out, okay, now Sun Xuan in Wu and Cao Pi in Wei have both declared themselves emperors, and we convinced Liu Bei to declare himself emperor as well because he's the rightful heir of he's the rightful heir for the Han Dynasty. And so Liu Bei declares himself emperor and tells us to send armies against Wu and Wei. And so here we have just entered Wu.
I do have one pun from Wandering Mind. She doesn't have anything related to this specific game, but if you've cast Fire Spell on a dog enemy, does that make it a hot dog? Thank you for your donation.
Boo! Meaning it was beautiful, thank you.
I'll give that 3 Valks blanks out of 5.
That's a good rating. That's a great rating.
So this is the section in the game where we have to deal with the fact that our enemies can use Jimian to prevent us from being able to do damage. Now, we only have a limited number of tactical points, and the odds of us landing a tactic are based upon differences in intelligence, so we can't guarantee that we're going to land it at all. So that can be problematic. And so we've done a few things over time to improve our odds of winning this. And the main one is to make sure we have Zhuge Liang in our party, which is why we're currently only traveling with 6 people. We had Ma Dai killed for 7th slot glitch purposes, but also because he learned a tactic that Zhuge Liang didn't, so we were able to get tactical points that level. But we dropped down to 6 so that we could have Zhuge Liang be both our strategist and in our party, because being as intelligent as he is, he's very unlikely to get hit by tactics, and he's also very highly likely to land tactics. And with Jimian hitting, we are having someone who can land tactics is a very, very good thing.
I have $5 from Lubu Yao, who encourages people to pun in Mandarin for me to read correctly, lest I be silver fired.
We do need to do a touch of grinding around here.
Not even an acknowledgement.
I'm not gonna.
It was too good. It was too good. Oh look, you got 4 Valks blanks.
You can't fire me.
Please don't say you quit. Please don't
Wait,
say you
no,
quit.
I'm not quitting.
I will cry live on stream. That is not a donation incentive, friends. Do not do it.
No, like, you can't actually fire me on one of the Valkyries.
See? See?
Tilo, I think you were saying something about the game?
Oh, yeah, maybe. No, we're doing a little bit of grinding here, because we need to get to a certain level to learn a tactic that we're going to make great use of as the game progresses. So we're taking a few extra battles. I think this might be enough to get me there. The number I'm looking for right now is, I think, 53-2. Luigi is the number 1 person you want to encounter during this grind, because he's completely at 52-3. Yep. Or 53-2. Ah, so I need one more battle. Hopefully we can get a simple only Rebel Forces battle showing up right here. Guyang's pretty harmless. Okay. So there we go.
Chat may have also noticed that some of these random encounters you fought here have our first opposing generals with over 10,000 soldiers. That's how quickly the opposition is scaling up. We won't face them in set battles for yet another about 20 minutes. But yeah, they're getting real strong and real scary, especially when they come in set battles and they have those extra in-battle multipliers. They can just land a big chunk of damage on you.
Yeah, there's we make very liberal use of Jimian as well to prevent those big chunks of damage from being landed on us. Because otherwise it can we can hurt really, really bad. Alright. So this is whoops. Well, that's unusual. This is not a set battle, no matter what it looked like. I forgot to so what we did, we went and looked underneath this tree and we got some old wood. And then we went to that cave and we got some saltpeter. And this guy here, if you let him go on his whole exposition, he tells you need his powder plus wood, plus this old wood, plus the saltpeter. And so you bring those other 2 things. He comes, he blows up part of the mountain and clogs the canal so that we can cross it. Now we get that. So, as I was saying, this upcoming run has been known as the Run-Ender at times. It's very high risk no matter what you do. Though particular strategies we take are mostly safe, they can still be problematic. We'll see what. So we're going to make use of Hong Shui, which is our AoE water tactic here. Okay, that's fine. We're wanting to avoid a particular tactic by Zhou. If he uses it, I'll describe it. Otherwise, I'll... Oh, we didn't want to see that.
Once this is done, I'd like another moment.
Let's finish this battle. It is quite a big story moment.
Let's not break the tension yet.
Yeah, unfortunately, Guyong used Shuijian, which halves the damage for your water tactics. And these water tactics are what we're using to do all of our damage, for the most part. We keep Zhuge Liang here, because he can actually land on Zhou Yu. Try a fire tactic over here, see if he can land it. Zhou Yu also has this Hong Shui and is going to land it a lot, which is going to obliterate the upper part of our party. But fortunately is going to miss on Zhuge Liang because Zhuge Liang's too smart. Li Jian, which has been used on one of our party members, will have our party members attacking us, attacking themselves, or attacking other party members. So that's not good either. And so you can see, without Zhuge Liang there, we were in a lot of trouble. But because we had him, it wasn't a big deal. Okay, you can go ahead now.
Alright, well, what does Carrot Top and Lubu have in common? They both have a red hair.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I don't get
I love it. Chituma is Lubu's horse, and it literally is red hair, is the name of the horse.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, okay, that's amazing.
Yeah. Definitely bonus points for fitting it into the lore. And that was from Nemo2342 for $5. Thank you very much for the donation. And then we have PokeGod11 donates $10. On the flip side, if you use an ice spell on a dog, does that make it a chili dog? That definitely gets some bonus points for playing off a previous pun. And appreciate the content, everyone. Putting this towards the dance party, the squid dance party.
Best party. How many Valks blank does that one get?
That's gonna get 4 Valks blanks as well.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten any perfects yet, but these are some really good ones, everyone.
I have faith in you.
Appreciate them a lot.
So now we get to make our long and exciting journey through Wu, which is going to involve a very large amount of smoke pots, because as Nader mentioned, they do a lot of artificially inflating travel time by doing lots of zigzagging. As you can see right here, lots of snaking. Go up, go down, go around to force maximum amount of travel.
There's a bit of a family feud coming up here at the next fight also.
Yes, it's odd to me that the game never really makes any mention of it. But this is Zhuge Jin here, which would be Zhuge Liang's brother, the one who we were talking to a while ago. He's changed his clothes and has decided he needs to kill us now. And we've got Shui Jian landed, which is no fun for anybody. But we're going to use this anyway. At the Shui Jian, there is the chance that we could actually clear this whole thing. We got surprise attacked, which is the big problem, but there's a chance we could have cleared this whole thing in one turn. But unfortunately, we didn't get that off, and I don't even think the Beiji got off on Zhao Yun by that point. Could be wrong. Anyway, these guys hit kind of hard, so we
Excuse me, did he just fail to hit the rebel force with the tactic?
It happens. It's yes, he did. Which shouldn't seem possible, but then one of the things that made Zhou Yu so dangerous, specifically in the previous battle, is that he has Wan Fu, so he can give himself a full heal and then proceed to wreck you with more tactics. Fortunately for us, Zhuge Jin doesn't have that. He only has Yin Xian, so once you get down to him, you can pretty safely all out. Alright, and now I should be at 64,000. Yep.
Yeah, we won't need another random encounter for the rest of the game.
Nope. We are done with random encounters. If I did everything correctly, we should not even. There should only be a couple places where you even have the chance of getting a random encounter. And
Also, that was the first, and I think the only armor that we find on the ground in this game.
yes, that's correct.
Lot less dangerous. Can't cut your toe on it, but you could still stub your toe.
Alright. Should be good to go. Yeah. Alright, so I finally rezzed Maliang, and a large reason for that is because he's holding a lot of smoke pots that we need to use for the remainder of our journey across Wu.
Yeah, and this is just a long stretch of walking and covering up our random encounters. So if there's anything to read or say about the marathon, this is a great time to do so.
Oh, good, because I have $10 from the Altar Maven. I heard you'll need glue for the next time, Lubu, because he keeps falling off to the other side. Glubu, I guess. And this is for the Lena's Inception seed name, which is also the world name in Lena's Inception for Ragnarok. That's real good. Tie-in into the game is great. I love it.
Yes, thank you very much for the donations. We're just about halfway, maybe a little over halfway through this very large cave. These caves, if you were playing through these, say, pre-internet and without maps, not only would you probably be getting lost and be very frustrated, but also, like, I certainly wasn't buying the smoke pots to cover my tracks as a kid, so you just random encounter through these huge caves, and there are more of these caves to come, by the way. These used to be such a slog, but on the upside, you would get a lot of experience and be way over leveled because of it.
Yeah, I mentioned the food dynamic a while ago. If you don't have any food, then you'll start losing soldiers every step. The thing is every time you defeat a set battle, you get a certain amount of food. And you never get anywhere close to expiring on food, because the amount of food you get from the set battles is so massive. And because of things like what Cheesenator just mentioned, you end up just basically grinding quite a bit just naturally on your way from one place to the next. There's almost no grinding that goes in this game, even that you need to do in this game even casually. I mean, the level we finish at what level 43, I think that's right. Is where we finish this thing at, and 50 is the max level. So while those extra 7 levels give you a lot of soldiers, there's just not a lot of time you spend walking back and forth to take all the extra steps you would need for that food to actually start hurting you. Alright, so we just the other reason we have Maliang around is for what we just got right there, which is we learned a tactic called Ansha, which Zhuge does not get, but Maliang does. Ansha, as I understand it, means assassinate. And if you read the text there, we're just taking these people's heads.
Yeah, so I guess thematically it doesn't quite make sense that all, 9,000 soldiers would disappear at once, but it's more like because you beheaded the general leading that army, all of the remaining soldiers lost their morale and will to fight and have either surrendered to you or run away.
It is interesting to me that you are removing the head, but if they're on, on your party, if a general uses Ansha and you take your generals, then you just takes their head, then you just use a resurrect and I guess tape it back on. I'm not sure exactly what that's doing for a removed head, but apparently it's quite effective.
Modern ancient Chinese surgical techniques.
Maybe that's what they did for zombie Yuan Shu earlier in the game.
I'm not really sure that's how we want to get ahead in this game.
Okay, that was very good.
Alright. Now we're starting to fight the Sun clan here. Which would be of the family of Sun Quan, and I guess Sun Tzu. Get Jimian again. But we will continue to attempt to remove heads.
Yeah, for people who play the Dynasty Warriors franchise, really starting in this current chapter that we're on, you start to see a lot more of the big names that appear as generals in those games as well. Zhou Yu and Gan Ning, Lu Su, Lu Sun is coming up. There's the Sun family here, and then the next chapter is full of big names as well. And we're starting to get more opposing generals who have unique portraits. We haven't actually talked about the portraits at all yet, but all the main story characters, certainly the ones on our team, have unique drawn characteristics, but the generic portraits in this game are actually quite similar, right? Generals who are strength focused have they've got a helmet on and gruff features, and then generals who are intelligence focused have more of a kind of a vertical thin look with usually a mustache like you can see there on Zhang Hong. But the sweet story generals with a lot of lore behind them, who are really the main feature, have unique portraits.
Oddly enough, some other other generals, which I guess in lore are meaningful, but in the game just seem random, have their own unique portraits. We had Lu Su, Zhou Yu, both had their own unique portraits, even though they're not really mentioned anywhere outside of those battles. Alright, so now we are going to do my classic 50,000 pirate heads on the wall, 50,000 pirate heads. I'm going to go fight these pirates, and we're going to behead many, many of them.
Take 10,000 down, pass them around?
Something like that.
Oh good, we're not doing this one at a time. I thought we might be here for a while. That is certainly a lot of pirates, though.
When you're down to one, you can just all out finish them off. So I only took 40,000 pirate heads. We just had to kill the other 10,000 the old-fashioned way.
I do find it funny that since you went for the one-rounder here and didn't use Jimian with Guanxing, he happened to be the one that failed his on-shot.
Naturally. We're going to end up with a really nice tactical point total, so I'm very happy about that. That's gone better than it has of late. All right, now is the ultimate menuing trip. So feel free to fill the void in any way necessary.
Well, from Nemo2342, we have $5. What did the Emperor say when he heard about the Yellow Turban Rebellion? Looks like things are getting out of hand. That.
Oh. Okay.
Wait.
I didn't. Or just HAN, not HAN.
Yes!
Oh! Okay, now it makes sense.
The delayed reaction is beautiful.
Have to process all of those.
That's going to be a 5 out of 5.
Took me a few moments to finally go, oh, ha!
Yeah, that pun is gonna haunt me.
I've really gotta to haunt it over to you. That was a glorious one.
I'm going to break up the fun with just a little bit of info about the run here. One of the things Thilo is doing is setting up the second major advantageous glitch that we'll take advantage of in the run. He's going to completely fill all the inventory on all the characters in the party, such that when we go and talk to a townsperson in Jindu Castle, the most recent castle that we conquered, that person will offer us one of the most powerful swords in the game. It's one of the swords that was created out of that iron ore that we delivered earlier to the weaponsmith. And by having a full inventory, we'll get a dialogue prompt that says, wait, your inventory is full. You must drop something in order to take this item. So we drop something and we get a sword, but our inventory is still full, so we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again, and we just get a whole party's worth of the second most powerful weapon in the game.
That sounds like a pretty beautiful inventory glitch.
Wait, hang on, you were both talking at once, say it again?
I was just saying how that sounds like a pretty beautiful inventory glitch.
Oh, it's wonderful. That was the other glitch that was, again, that I give credit to the Japanese runner Masu, is the one who found and let us know about that particular glitch. I guess they don't want you to, lose the sword if you can't fit it in your inventory, so they don't clear it, and then they did clear it afterwards, and so you're just let you have all the weapons. It's also nice because it allowed us to avoid making some other out-of-our-way trips with, like, for example, that the cave the big cave we already went through is, has one of the legendary swords in it, but it's, an extra smoke pot plus some damage to go get it. I'm gonna save my game here just in case I botched something.
Yeah, it's a run killer if you get the the sword and you don't get the dialogue prompt because you actually had space in your inventory. Of course, in a speedrun you won't have saved, so it's just over.
Also very important, I used a goalie to get back here, so you have to keep that in mind that you got to come back to the store and buy an item to replace that, so your party's inventory is full.
The backup strat, if you really are determined for some reason to continue a run after having possibly failed this here, so you'll have one of the 5 swords that you actually need, and everything else you'll have just sold, right? So you've got no weapons except this one. You can kind of get by in the upcoming fights because you're going to use a lot of on-shot to take out generals instead of physically attacking, but you'll have to get backup weapons, you'll go buy battle axes or whatever, and then the money is the big issue. This speedrun is actually very tight with its money routing. You almost completely run out of cash getting the final armor upgrades in the next few towns, so you need to like fight extra random encounters and do this and that, or skip out on some of that armor just to actually have enough damage to carry on. There are a few more free weapons, but they don't all come that quickly, so there's just so little recourse if you happen to not get the 5 Qinglongs here.
Alright, we've got all 5 now, so our party is well geared and can do a whole lot of damage going all out. And it is nice because you get to sell all of those weapons this early. You do have enough money to, as Cheesenator mentioned, to buy everything you need for the rest of it. Before that, money was even tighter. So we'll do the safer of the 2 routes this time and do a 2-trip here.
Marathon safety.
Did I just go the wrong way? Wow. That doesn't happen very often. This is, as you can see, not the most obvious way one for which way to go.
Yeah, the map designers might have gotten pretty creative here. I don't know if in real life in southeastern China, if there's a point where there's like a radial display of mountains and canyons like this.
I mean, I could see it being a nice defensive mechanism. Parties coming in to attack your palace, and they can't get there because they keep running around in circles accidentally. So we're going to continue to remove heads. That's a theme for a long time. Unfortunately, the most significant characters in the game are immune to head removal, so we will have to defeat them in more conventional methods. But for now, we will take advantage of this capability. 132 is our final tactical point total. That's a very, very nice tactical point total.
Yeah, for skipping Fubing, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Anything 130 or above is I'm pretty content with, usually, if I skip Fubing.
The counter all opposing strategies only encounters the ones that happen later in the turn, right?
No, it's actually the ones that are already there. So if I
oh, okay, so this is it's countering buff. It's dispelling buffs.
Exactly.
Yep, it's like the wave of ice that you get in Dragon Quest games, and certainly a variety of other RPGs that have buff cancels.
Yeah. Neck armor seems to be a hot commodity here.
What's even more fun is one of the guys whose heads we are incapable of taking, apparently others are not. So I'm not sure what they're using that we aren't, but we'll see that in a little bit. But so we're here. This is Sun Chuan, who wants to fight us, but first he's sending his henchmen to take care of us. We got surprise attacked, which seems like a really odd thing after just listening to him go on this long diatribe. I think we were paying attention, would have been paying attention enough to see the, generals coming. But,
Yeah, both thematically and by their just inherent power, these are two of my favorite generals in the game and in the lore here, Taishisa and Lu Sun. If you're playing sort of casually and you're doing the gotta catch 'em all kind of routing where you pick up random generals after you've fought them, these are two that you can absolutely have in your final party. They're extremely strong, but we just beheaded them.
You'll notice the Gibeon lasting forever there, so we just couldn't even take out those rebel forces. So now we're going to actually fight him. Yeah, Taishisi and Lu Sun are actually so good that they are one of the 4 generals that the TAS has at the very end. This battle is actually one of the key ones we're having, the 5 Qinglongs makes a big difference in being able to all out this thing.
I'll wait for you to defeat some Quan here. And then I have another donation.
Alright.
Alright, so for $5 from Drum Boardist. And let me get out my singing voice here. 10,000 pirates wait all around, 10,000 pirates abound. Strike the general down, lop off his crown, 10,000 pirates are fleeing the town.
Very nice. Very
Hooray!
nice.
Making me sing.
I think singing during speedrun marathons has been pretty in vogue ever since a few years ago when there was the announcer or like MC who sang during the Final Fantasy VI at GDQ.
Oh yeah, singing during singing for that, and also like singing during Kingdom Hearts runs is a bit of a pastime too.
One that registers with me is that they're singing during was it? I'm trying to remember which game it was. Super Mario Land 2.
Huh.
There was one of
I don't
those in
remember
GDQ
that one.
last year. That and every time I hear the music, I can't not hear lyrics.
I have a lot of feelings about RPG Limit Break and Singing Memories of Life, which is, what was that, 2017? It was the first one I was at in person.
Alright, we've done all the changing of stuff, right? Okay, so now we're going to save with our fun safety save here, because we are going to go to billeting for the last time in this game. And now we're going to switch one of the Ma clan for another one by dropping Ma Dai, picking up Ma Chao. And off we go.
Yes, to answer a question in chat, we have our final team. We will not be making any more party swaps. We've got everyone we need in terms of 3 different tacticians based on what we want to take into the battle. And we've got all the strongest of the Tiger generals, the generals who thematically are tied to to Liu Bei and his clan in some way in the story, but as well they gain they gain soldier count upon every level up.
I mean, technically speaking, we don't have it quite yet because we haven't picked up Zhang Wei until after.
Oh, good point. I got ahead of myself. I saw. Yeah. I saw the question in chat and just had to talk about it.
So if we can. Good.
Zhang Liao here has another one of my favorite portraits. Just look at that beard.
Zhang Liao, Xiahou Dun is always a fun one. Of course, that's got a fun story behind it. Well, fun is, I guess, a matter of opinion. But, where I believe he was... If I recall the story correctly, Xiahou Dun was shot in the eye with an arrow, and so he yanked the arrow out and ate his eye.
Okay!
Please, anybody in chat, if you can confirm or deny that, or correct that understanding of the story, but you'll see he has an eye patch in his portrait here.
We do have some scholars in the chat. A handful of the people that have been watching the run know a good deal of the Three Kingdoms lore. And by the way, we just got Zhang Wei. Now we have our final party, so there you go. Zhang Wei, all around quite a powerful general. He's got very high intelligence and attack rating. He's not quite as strong as the rest, but can certainly be serviceable as a damage dealer, and has just the right amount of intelligence to have on Sha, instead of some of the later tactics that replace it. So Zhang Wei gives us the most amount of tactical points, but with still being able to use on Sha for some of these late fights. So it's kind of a balance there, but he's right at that sweet spot.
All right, and if you'll notice, Zhang Wei has all smoke pots. That is actually when we gave Huang Zhang those smoke pots like an hour ago. That's where those came from. We got them there, so Zhang Wei has them now. So now we get yet another continual winding road, which we will travel. Which we will you will know intimately by the time this this run is finished. So we are getting confirmation in chat of the eye consumption.
Thank you for the raid, Sable Dragon Rook. One of our other runners this marathon, so it's appreciated.
Nice. A lot of these on-shaws, on some of these, that on-shaw right there was a 50-50. So far, I've landed a lot of 50-50s, which has been quite nice. Especially the more dangerous ones. So. So this one we are actually always caught off guard. That is hard-coded. Which is disappointing because Cao Pi can use on Shaw, like so.
Unlucky.
So we're gonna have you do resurrect.
Oof.
Oops.
This is a rough one.
Yeah. Hopefully turn order goes in my favor there. And everything goes okay. Just no Hong Shui, please. It's fine.
You know, I was commenting to you the other day, Tilo, that there was a battle where all three of the opposing generals had the same color palette of 3
Oh,
colors.
that's right.
This battle, they all have the same color palette, and it's the same one as the rebel forces. So straight down the line, everyone's blue, white, and orange.
Well, that's unkind. Alright. So, interestingly enough, there is I've mentioned before that the difference in intelligence affects your ability to land a tactic. Well, it turns out that there is actually the way it works. If you are so much less, your intelligence is so much less than a opposing general, your odds of landing a tactic actually go up. And that threshold is at 50. So it turns out that Cao Pi has 204 intelligence, Zhuge Liang has 255, and so Cao Pi has actually got the perfect amount of intelligence for having the maximum odds of landing a tactic on Zhuge Liang. Alright, so going back to Zhendu.
And also, during that all-out, as we said, the enemies can use tactics, and Zhang Bao's head got taken again. So, unlucky, beheaded twice in the same fight.
That's a bad day. Alright, now we're going to fight this little set battle of this guy that's around here. I've mentioned before that zone affects the experience you get. Well, turns out these kind of set battles that are inside of towns don't have a defined zone. Their zone is just whatever your last the zone of your last battle was. And so because of that, we didn't fight him earlier because we were only in Zone 7, and now we're in Zone 8, and we get enough extra experience here that we are good for the rest of the game in terms of random battles, or we can get the level we would like, or we can get a level that's going to get most of our generals to 10,000 soldiers, the 5-digit soldier mark, before an important battle. Let's go again.
During that all-out, also, Lu Meng used Wan Fu and healed to max HP, but this is like the least offensive general to use Wan Fu in the game. There are others that are much more devastating for the run.
Alright, so off we go to journey through Wei yet once more. Leaving trails of smoke everywhere we go.
This is the second of 3 times we traverse the exact same terrain to get to our destination. There are a couple of story triggers and so forth that have us going back and returning to the upcoming castle.
Yeah, you'll notice the I did the all out on Cao Pi because he is not unshawable. A upcoming story trigger will refute the idea that his head is tightly affixed. We'll avoid using the extra Ximian tactics right now. Sometimes you can save yourself a few seconds in a battle when you're fighting by using Ximian, because this whole process of however many person soldiers were defeated can cost like about 2 seconds. So if you land a Jimian, then for each attack that comes in, you're saving a couple of seconds. Cost you 7 tactical points to do it, which can be dangerous when you're running through a gauntlet. But it does over time add up. For safety's purposes, I'd like to have as many tactical points going into the next battle as possible. So we'll take that little hit. Alright, now we're going to attack from the left here. This is actually something Cheeseinator taught me. Whether or not you can use water tactics is based upon how close you are to water. And it turns out that if you attack from the left here, that's classified as not close to water, while every other direction is classified as close to water. And the reason that's relevant is if you just saw there, he used Dare, which is a single target fire tactic. But if you are near water, the generals will use water tactics instead, and the water tactic that he has is Hong Shui, which is an AoE that can do significantly more, cause significantly more issues. So, by attacking from the left, you are decreasing what Cao Pi can do to you by a really significant amount. Ooh, that's not good. That is good. That's good. Ow. Actually, I'm gonna maximize my chances here, but this is not going as well as one might hope in terms of on-shot success. These are not really low odd hits. Wow. The fact that Cao Zhang has been missed however many times by Zhuge Liang is quite unusual. Wow, okay, well this battle just got really tough.
Wait, oh my god, we're out of tactic points?
We're out of tactical points.
Switch to power pills?
Yeah, I guess that's the way we gotta go about it, is just power pill, Cao Pi down. Fortunately, our Jimian's still around, so we at least have a little bit of mitigation right now. We have no way to heal ourselves, we have no way to increase our damage output. This is... I have never had it... I've had it before where I ran out of tactical points with a 1 general left. I don't think I've ever had it with 2 general left, because Zhuge Liang doesn't miss 5 attempts on Cao Zhang. But now we've got Jimian in there. Oh, nope, we still got Jimian landed. Nope.
So you're saying Cao Pi is just maybe a step ahead of you here?
Yeah. Fortunately, he does not have Wanfu, because that would be problematic. It's not a marathon run if nothing that never happened before just happens. Indeed, indeed. Fortunately, we already had these power pills geared up for the next battle. I think we're in good enough shape we can just all out here. I hope so, because there's really no other recourse we have. I mean, I guess I could focus on making sure everybody gets under 10k first, but I think that's going to happen pretty soon anyway.
Yeah, the pace that your HP is going down looks pretty safe here.
Yeah, and Zhang Bao will get rezzed at a story trigger, so not real worried about losing him. Same thing with Quan Sheng.
Which I don't think we've emphasized before, but yes, for anyone wondering, there are a couple of points in the game where it's okay if you lose certain characters because story triggers revive them and heal them to full. And we've done that many times.
So Sima Yi comes to supposedly help Cao Pi, and instead he attacks and kills him, and then he says, "I've killed Cao Pi, I'll give you his head." And I'm like, why couldn't we just take that head? Of course,
We tried.
Everybody else's heads, and that didn't go well for us, so... Alright, so now formation strat. Let's make sure I get the right strategist. I lost the sub 3 because I accidentally made Ma Liang the strategist there the other day. So make sure I don't screw that up. Now we are going to have to go back and make a detour for power pills.
Yeah, like we want to probably going to G. Oh no, you can. Oh yeah, you can buy them on the way. Right, they're in here. And... Yeah.
Lane. This used to be where I bought them before I used when I did all my purchasing at the Qinglong glitch. I'm just gonna load up everybody with all the power pills they can hold. That was a disaster. That was like I said, that was a particular disaster I've not actually encountered before. I was impressed.
And you were even being conservative, right? You didn't use the Gemion on some of the previous gate battles.
Right. And then I didn't even try to do the duel on Sha at the end. I decided to let Zhuge Liang take it one by one, and he continually failed. That number is pretty good for Cao Zhang too. I want to say it's like around 70% if I recall correctly. Could have my numbers. I don't have the chart in front of me right now, but it's decent that Zhuge Liang's going to take his head. So 5 fails in a row is pretty unfortunate. But such is the life of a marathon run. Whoops. Alright. We shall continue. Oh, Jiangwei doesn't have any weapons.
Oh, that's yeah, I think we should get one on him. He's got no equipment at all.
How many smoke pots he had?
A slight route difference here. I always make sure to get enough weapon and equipment sets that I can leave both Jiangwei and Zhuge fully equipped, because we do swap back and forth between which one of them is present in these later battles in the game, just to make sure that I'm always, maxing the DPS and minimizing the incoming DPS.
Yeah, I take a slightly different route where I swap gear once. I have Zhuge Liang has the gear all until Jiangwei has the gear, and then after that, I just give Zhuge Liang a sword in a little bit and assume he's going to stay alive, because when he's around, all you're doing is trying to land on Shaws, and that should happen fast enough that he doesn't die. I don't think I've had him die yet in a situation that wasn't already super high risk.
You have a moment?
Mhm.
We have a $50 donation from Preeves. Thank you very much. This one doesn't come with a pun, unfortunately, but it's to name the party in Gauntlet 4 Anime Club. Are we really here for Anime Club night? I guess we're here for Anime Club night.
I'm here for Anime Club night.
So
Thank
that's
you
actually
very
a
much.
event right there. Where you have to type in a code in this little gap where he's going to send you back to Xinyun. You get to make the whole journey again. And I have messed that up and lost a run to it before. So
Same. I'm pretty sure everyone who runs this game has failed it at least once. It's kind of Konami Code-esque. It's not the exact same, but it's similar. This one is up. Wait, hang on. Up, up, down, down, left, right, up, down. So there's no like BA start or anything.
well, this is an unpleasant start because they started off landing a Jimian, which obviously can, if it doesn't end after this turn, we could be in some trouble. Alright, we're gonna have to do this until it wears off. Alright, that wasn't awful. Alright, you still need to BG yourself. I don't know if they're... I don't know if the Semyana is active or not.
Yeah, I would just...
No tactical... Okay, it's not. We'll have to address that in the next round.
Yeah, I think for marathon safety, when there is an opposing Gemion, you shouldn't all out to try and get it off faster. We should just defend and chill.
Yeah, probably. Alright, so now... we're going to use Gentian with you. We're going to use Semyon with you, and Power Pillow away. There we go. Semyon. Now his tactics... So we've talked about Gemion, where they can completely nullify physical attacks, and they still use it on you. No enemy generals have this, but a few of our generals have Semyon, which is the same concept except for its tactics, so it completely nullifies tactics, which is the only recourse you really have to a general with Wanfu, which Sima-Yi here has. So you have to hope that Semyon lands and sticks before Sima-Yi goes. Now Sima-Yi is also very, very fast, and so the odds of getting a turn off before him are not exceptionally high, even with max agility. And the lower the health gets, the more likely they are to use tactics. So let's see. Now we're in some danger here. This is my last ability to use Semyon too. So if this doesn't land first, then before Sima-Yi goes, all right, they did. So we're in good shape now. But if it didn't land first, then he potentially would have used Wanfu, and we would have been we would have had to wipe and start over again. So it got a little dicey there, but we're okay.
I got a question in chat. How close are we to the end of the game? We're pretty close. There are 2 more caves to traverse, 1 major shopping trip. I guess 2, but there's a smaller one later. And then set battle-wise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And yeah, that should be it.
Yeah, we're not far now. This is our last big shopping trip. We've got another smaller one coming up in a little bit, but yeah, this is the last major one.
So yeah, it's not a short speed run by any stretch of the imagination. It's in the neighborhood of, like, if you're playing this at a high level, it's in the neighborhood of like Final Fantasy 1 with no resets. But it's shorter than Dragon Quest 1 by a lot.
Unless you're doing RNG manipulation.
True, true. And since this is a long shop, great time to get in any announcements or donations.
Well, I don't have any new puns, but I would like to take a moment to talk about Take This. Take This also reaches out to gaming companies to promote healthier and better work environments. In particular, they've previously published papers opposing the industry standard crunch culture, and ensure that organizations have methods to help their employees who suffer from mental illness. They seek to offer perspective and hope to people who feel overwhelmed with their mental health issues so that people do not suffer in silence. And just reminding everyone, if you want me to read your pun on the air, make a little donation. How do we carry all this food, though?
Well, we do have massive armies. And since we're managing to, do things like carry one sword for all 10,000 to use, they've got plenty of extra pockets for, 900,000 rations.
Well, I mean, we've already established that we can dupe swords, so that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's fair enough. It's just a much longer process.
Now, what do you suppose they're carrying around? I think the simple answer would be, it's like rice and some vegetables. But I mean, what if they've got like 12,000 hamburgers?
It's clearly 800,000 hamburgers.
I like the idea that it's grains of rice. It's the old Mitch Hedberg.
800,000 grains of rice.
You're really hungry and you want 2,000 of something.
That is true. I don't know how long that would last, like, an army of 50,000 soldiers.
Yeah, it kind of dwindles real fast there, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is a good point. That this game it's on the NES, so it's an 8-bit processor. The NES processor doesn't have a native multiply operation. So this game had to implement its own number crunching in a pretty impressive way, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they
the numbers this big.
24-bit numbers in this game, which is unusual. The RNG in this game is also quite complex. It's a 32-bit RNG, and when things want random numbers, they don't always just draw from the same register, but they'll draw from same address. They'll draw from any of the 4 addresses that the RNG comes from, and then they'll do the thing reading it will do its own set of operations to reset the RNG beyond what the RNG already does each frame. So it just becomes it's hard enough on the task, but there is no realistic way of pulling off any RNG manipulation because of how chaotic the whole thing is.
Yeah, that's an impressive amount of entropy for an NES game to implement.
Yeah. ACMLN put a lot of work into creating a thing to brute force battles and stuff to figure out the best optimal ways to go in and out of the all-outs to win, because it's just exceptionally complex.
So we're going through the final cave of the game, the second consecutive cave here, and making a little detour to get everyone's favorite weapon. So we did have these 5 dupe swords, and they're quite strong, but this, the halberd. Oh, wait, you're teasing us by not picking up the chest yet, but we're about to get the halberd.
Yeah, this is the weapon I was talking about earlier. That even though if you look at the weapon power strength in the status menu, it shows an upgrade of weapon power from 240 to 250. It's actually a weapon power of double what the previous one was. In the actual formula, it's basically an effective multiplier going from 8 to 16. So it does a lot of damage.
And wave goodbye to one of the endgame swords we just passed by. There are 5 of them in this game, but we only got one and we duped it. But in these caves, there are detours to get some of the other legendary swords.
Yeah, and that's the town that we that we bought the power pills at and got Zhang Wei in. There's a lady there that says, "Ouch! I cut my foot on something underneath that tree." Which is, like I told you, where the leaving swords over where finally caused a public health hazard. And that's one of the legendary swords as well. It's actually one of the weaker ones. So we skip that one. Get that one. Oops, I forgot to change my party order. It's okay. So you'll see this level we just got here, put 4 of our generals over 10k, and that's why we did the Lu Meng thing, that's why we did all the whatever, is so that we'd have those 4-digit soldiers. From when we came in here.
So how many soldiers would Huang Zhang have on this fight?
I believe he would have, I think, less than anybody else, if I recall correctly. Do the Beiji, you do the Shinxian, and good. Because I know Ma Chao and Zhuge Liang are always have the same, and Zhang Wei and Jia Yun always have the same. I know over time. Actually, already Ma Chao's below this, and I believe Huang Zhang is even lower. I don't know the exact number of soldiers he'd have, but that's not a good way to start. We need to conserve as many tactical points as possible in this battle because we aren't getting to go straight back to an inn. Very grateful that he did not use Jibian there, but we have 3 tacticians here and in this battle, and Sima Yi is not the only one who likes to use Jimian. So as you can see, I'm doing 3,600 damage Zhongbao with Beiji versus 1,100 where the people without Beiji, and then or Ma Chao without Beiji or the 5 digits, and then I'm doing 7,400 with Jia Yun. All right, so we are good to go.
Nice, yeah. That Samian tactic that we've been using, it's mechanically exactly the same as Jimian, and that every round it has a chance to have its effect fade away, but it lasted through the previous round, so we don't have to worry about RNG of getting turn order on Sima Yi to prevent him from using 1 food to heal all the way back up to 40,000 soldiers, so we are in great shape.
It's also a huge deal from the perspective of again, we have another battle to fight after this, and we want as many tactical points as we can get going into it.
Also, marathon safety, I would single target Yangshu here, but I mean, that worked out.
Yeah, potentially.
Because the second general on that set there, Yangshu, also has one Fu, and if you all out, and of course Samyeon has failed at some point prior to that, then he gets low and he can be triggered at a higher and higher percentage chance to use a tactic and use specifically one Fu, and that fight can go south.
Can you cancel out of going all out once you've done it?
Yes.
Okay.
You can cancel out after each turn. It simulates a turn, and then you can pull out afterwards. So it's not a... how do you do that? So Shenhua here is quite dangerous because he has Ansha, he has Jibian, and he has Wonfu, and which can make it, effectively impossible to beat him if he decides to get particularly heavy on the tactics. So we want to have as many opportunities to use Ansha on him as possible. Now it's possible we could win with an all-out here, but if we can land an Ansha here, then that's even better. It's a coin flip to land that. So we'll just see what happens. If we get, keep using it until we run out of tactical points, and if he's still got ahead, then we'll have to all out and cross our fingers.
Yep, and this is a way that a lot of our runs have died, is that this particular fight, running out of tactic points, and then this guy whittles you down, he heals repeatedly, eventually he on-shots your characters, and you end up failing this fight, and it means that you have to go all the way back and walk through those caves over again, rebuying all of the necessary smoke pots to do so.
Well, we gotta cross our fingers now, because we got nothing left. Nothing left. One and 8 failed. Come on. Oh!
Wow, that's pretty devastating already there, but... Oh my god, what a tease!
No!
This is why you don't want to just have to fall down to all out.
I was gonna say that the Jibian there did seem like it was tempting fate with our tactic points.
Well, we didn't lose an on-shaw from it.
Oh, you didn't? Never mind.
We had 59 or 50. I don't remember what number it was now, but I wouldn't have used it if we had the. All right. Well, there's 4 head removals. Unfortunately, the downside to having Zhuge Liang here is that he doesn't die very fast when you're fighting against a tactician, because they can't land a tactic on him. Usually. Your odds of landing him pretty low, so you just have to wait for the attack to come through. Alright! Well. The good news is, that is the last thing that can go... Well, there's 2 parts to it. First of all, that's the last thing that can go catastrophically wrong in terms of massive time loss. But the second part is it's not entirely a loss in that we can use this opportunity to do our final shopping trip, and so we don't have to do any more shopping after this. Do I not have any more resurrects?
Yeah, we can get 3 power pills per physically attacking general, and then fill up the rest with the 16 smoke pots to get back to that castle, and then the 3 more that we need to get for our final walking trip to the final fight. So yeah, we can make up some of the time. Also, we don't have to refight the other set battles that were along the way, so it's not going to be as time and resource intensive. It's just going to be a very long walk. So great time to, again, fill with any administrative details or other things you'd like to share with chat.
Or, if you want to donate for a pun, this is kind of your last chance too. But I mentioned before that the RPG Valkyries are proud to welcome several speakers from Take This for Speedrun Ragnarok 2020. In particular, some of those segments where we'll be hosting Take This panels or Take This discussion segments. Tonight we'll be having Take This, we'll be having them talk about their ambassador program. That's Dr. Kelly Dunlop, the community manager. And tomorrow, we'll be having a discussion segment with Dr. Rachel Cowart, who's one of their research directors, talking about the psychology of Final Fantasy. And then on Thursday, we have one with Dr. R. Bocamazzo, the clinical director, who will be talking about tabletop roleplay as a healthy outlet. And on Friday, we will have a segment with several of their clinicians come on for a segment about self-care and supporting friends and family who suffer from mental illness. So we're really excited to be hosting Take This on these discussion segments, and they should be they should be really enjoyable and really informative.
Oh shoot. And that's part of what makes the second Simoye battle so bad, is that not only can it go catastrophically wrong, if Simoyan keeps wearing off and everything, then you only have so much you can do. But beyond that, you then need those tactical points for afterwards, for the next battle. And if that goes awry, then you're in a real big trouble, because there's no way to get back except through this enjoyable stroll through the cave yet again.
Yeah, I thought we were playing Destiny of an Emperor, not Cave Story.
Like I said, barring ridiculously bad. In fact, I'm debating. Starting to wonder if maybe I should use Simian strats against Shenhua.
Now, with full tactic points,
Yeah.
right? How many coin flips can you lose? I say, as a runner of RPGs and randomizers.
Just enough. I have lost 11 coin flips in a row, but actually not even 11 coin flips in a row. It was better odds than that in this game, so it can happen. But we're just gonna hope it doesn't.
Fun thing here in these late caves that we're completely avoiding, there are actually lava tiles. It's another very Dragon Quest esque thing, where there are damaging tiles that you walk over and you lose HP to get to some of the rarest treasure. But again, we've already routed in more than enough weapons that we can avoid these late game treasures.
Yeah, behind those lava tiles you just saw right there was, I believe, Wan Cheng, which is another one of the legendary swords, and then we skipped over getting Nulong, which was in the Wu Cave, which is hiding behind some lava tiles as well.
Another fun fact that we didn't point out, and certainly it's not as relevant when you've got smoke pots, but most of the caves, most of the floors of caves have free tiles to walk on in them, but not all of them. Like, for some reason, this particular tile set we're on, if you walk along the top shadows here, no difference, but in almost all of the other cave floor palettes, if you're walking along in the shadows at the top section of a wall, those are no encounter steps.
Like these shadows here on this one would be no encounter steps, which is why I'll take those 2 steps before using the smoke pod. However, in the green rooms, that's not the case. These are not safe squares, so you can't use it here. But you can make use of that. We make use of that when we're doing the early caves when we don't have smoke pots. We definitely make great use of taking every tile possible to not get random encounters. We're almost back.
So, hypothetically, because we've already done our final shopping, if you were to try to retreat from the final battle, you could just walk back to this castle and heal and save yourself some traversal, but it's still obviously much more likely to just use the tactics to get out of the fight.
Yeah, the amount of time it takes about 30 seconds to get to the castle from Shujo. So it doesn't end up being worth it because you can lose that much time if they throw a Jimian out there. If they throw a Hua Shen out there or something like that, then the AoE time can cost you enough that it's not worth it. You know, it's 3,600 damage that was done. That's the real result of me refusing to put any armor on Zhuge Liang. Oh, look at that, we lost Zhangbao.
Alright, 9 tries, chat. 9 coin flips. Let's go.
Alright, there's one.
Seven coin flips. Let's go.
There we go.
Woohoo! Run! Saved!
Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, I've put a lot of work into making it as safe as possible to have as many tactical points as possible for that, and I've got some backup strats if the situation requires it, but with that many tactical points, the situation really didn't require it. Let's change my strategist to Maliang. Don't even need to worry about resing. Okay, I don't want to use this.
Oh. I was gonna say formation, do you take Ma Chao out here? Or it doesn't matter until the Sima fights?
Well, and I'm not doing that now because, What's-His-Face is dead.
Good point.
Oh, we still haven't seen the last of Simi.
Oh no.
The general that was leading this particular gate battle, Dian Wei, we've already fought him once with Sima Yi earlier in the game, and between that fight and this one, you can actually recruit him out of the enemy pool and into your party, so that this battle would only have 2 opposing generals.
I believe he's the only general in which that is the case. That you can actually recruit him before his final set battle.
That was a pretty good first round there. I think Chen Chun is another one of the coin flips, and
Yeah.
he's got some of those dangerous tactics too, so I've had this fight ruin some of my own runs.
Yeah, this is the one where you use every tactical point you can to get him down, rather than because you won't all out on him. Whereas this next battle, if for whatever reason I can't get Wang Kan down, it's not really the end of the world. He's still not ideal because, if I'm not mistaken, he still has Wan Fu, but he's not particularly problematic outside of that. But if you just take his head, not a problem.
So if you've been playing casually, of course you'll have been spending the entire game trying to persuade and bribe enemy generals over to your team as you fight them in random encounters. Now, the enemy is going to try to get us to join their side.
So now we're fighting Sima Yi's children. And they are loudmouths. Wow.
Oh, he didn't say anything there.
Yeah. Oftentimes they will talk. And as we learned with the randomizer, whoever's in this battle is willing to... Any general in this battle is willing to talk when it goes. Which means if it's got a 5-general battle, then that can be problematic. Now actually it was a 1 in 3 with Zhang Wei landing it on Sima Shi. And there's a coin flip for Zhuge Liang to land on Sima Zhao. So that was really, really good RNG to make up for everything bad that happened earlier.
Yeah, great fight.
Jimian with him, and then now we're going to use this tactic that we only use this one point, which is Gui Huan, which literally gets us out of the battle and sends us back to Liu Bei. Wow, Ma Chao landed it. That's unusual.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure any set battle can be retreated from at a rate of 1 in 8. And that one in particular, because there are 2 back-to-back fights that can require such different strategies and using up a lot of your tactic points, it's even common for non-speedrunners to still try and break up the Sima Sun's fight with the Sima Yi final fight. So we're going to heal here, change our tactician, and go in instead with on-Sha strategies, which cannot defeat Sima Yi. We're going to go with Beiji and Seimian again.
And we are going to safety save here, just for good measure. Nothing should be able to happen, but I don't want to glitch now to ruin everything we've worked for. This is the first time I've ever had Ma Chao actually be the one who landed the Gui Huan. So it's an interesting thing. The way the odds of landing a tactic like that work is it's based upon the difference of, or it's based upon the intelligence difference with the leader of the opposing party. Well, Sima Yi is incredibly smart, so it's very hard to land stuff. But once you get to a certain level of intelligence, as I mentioned before, things go. Let me double check everything I've got here. Okay. Once you get to a certain point of low intelligence, your odds actually start improving. And so...
Yeah, it's that wraparound effect you were referring to
Yeah,
earlier.
so Zhang Bao is actually the second most likely after Zhuge Liang to get out of the battle, because he's the least intelligent general. Okay, well this is non-ideal to start off with. We've got a Jimian active, if I'm not mistaken.
So this is another one of those fights where we're heavily outnumbered, and thusly we must outwit the opposition.
There we go. Alright. Let's try again. Zhang Bao has been hit with Yishen. Okay. So he'll be back for next time. That Hua Shen that Sima Yi has, that can be your biggest problem a lot of the time. Because it's tactics are boosted by Beiji as well.
Yeah, and it's the strongest fire tactic in the game, and it's an AoE, so from Sima Yi hitting your party, that can do like 3,700 to 4,000-ish per, and if you look at our current soldier counts, that would be like a third to half of our HP.
And it's not even so bad now as it is in the very first battle, where he can two goes of that can completely wipe your party. And at least here you've got a little bit of robustness.
Yeah, but of the late game fights, despite this one being the final battle, it's actually one of the easier ones. Usually things go as expected. You really only possible way to get bitten is by Sima Yi getting a Wanfu in before a cast of Simeon.
It seems like you'd be able to recover from that. It'd just make the fight take a lot longer.
It depends. The thing is, to land at Simeon, it costs 17 tactical points, and you only have so many. You can do the damage, but you have to be able... he can use Jimian to stop you from being able to do the physical attacks. And so, you can get around it. I've certainly recovered from it several times, but it's not safe to get around. It's not just a matter of speed; it's a matter of safety, and it's a very dangerous thing to try to get around afterwards.
And of course, you drain your resource of the power pills on your first go through his soldier count, so second time around you're going to be much slower.
Alright, so now he's complaining that he died by a henchman of Liu Bei, not his own, but at least China's now united. So we have we've cleared Wu, we just cleared Wei, and now we're back into the capital of China, which is Luoyang, and we're going to invite Liu Bei to take his rightful place as emperor. And
we were here earlier, and it was all burnt down, but it's been rebuilt.
And time. So 3 minutes off estimate with a loss with a wipe to Shenhua. It's not bad. But thank you for the GGs, everyone. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support of Take This. Thank you to the Valkyries for allowing me to run this and for also putting on the whole event here. Thank you so much to Cheesenator for helping fill the air, especially when I was shopping, and helping inform our audience about this lovely game. Yeah, do you have anything else to add there, Cheesenator?
I'll second all those thanks. Thanks for inviting me on for the couch. Thanks to the Valkyries for hosting us and hosting this wonderful marathon. Is this a good time to say that we have a Discord where you can join to learn about the speedrun of this game?
Sure is.
Yeah, you can message myself or Tilo, or in chat we've got Akbalum, the world record holder, if you'd like to join our Discord and learn how to speedrun this wonderful game. It's very satisfying, especially when the RNG rolls your way, but also, there's lots of fun music and lore and little things that make the game exciting to play.
Right. And following up with this, we will be filling our setup block with Skullakitty playing Loom. So stay tuned for that. It's following up this. We'll be filling in our setup block with Skullakitty playing Loom. So stay tuned for that.